Guess we're live.
We're live. I am going to wash my eye makeup off because it's too much. It's just too much. So I'll be right back. Buff Del Campo is going to start the stream because he is the host of the Buff Del Campo show.
Yeah, go.
And I am Kim of Kim Fixes Things, and Kim is going to go. Is going to go and fix her eye makeup.
It's like too much window tint. Okay, let's see here. Let me scroll back a little bit. What have we got here? Mexican Specs here, way early. And then I said T-minus an hour, almost an hour. Mama M3, Colleen says she's not going to be able to make it because she's have something going on. So at least you stopped in. Really good. Thanks for stopping by and letting us know what's going on and that you're there. Okay, Kim. She's going to have to come in here soon. Let's see here. What else do we have? I'm trying to read all this, and I really got caught off guard with the makeup. Let's see here. Buddy Carfano is here. Good evening. Buddy Carfano says he sent a bunch of pictures. He sure did. And I got one of them up there right now, which is a 67 Chevy SS, probably an Impala. I had a friend that had one of those, and his had a 427 in it, but it was white. And that was his high school car. That was quite a car. All's here. How are you doing? KJ Kai's here. Good evening. Lester LeSabre. And Lester LeSabre, you sent me an email that was kind of involved. I sent you a reply. Hope you saw that. But I thank you for your concern. And which I'll get in. I'll tell the story about that in a couple of minutes. And then me said almost right at 7 o'clock because we were scrambling to get ready like usual. JB's Little Shop. JB's Little Shop's here. Good evening. Yeah, Buddy Carp. Kim's back in the back room yelling. I don't know what she's saying. Buddy Carfano says 67 last year for no side marker lights. That's right. Olive says, don't think I have any 67 images I can think of. My model of a 67 Charger is looking a little extra barn findy right now. Probably should clean that. Mariposa McNabb. I don't think I've seen you before. Good evening. Welcome to the stream. Oh, yeah, that's the first thing you say. First timer here. Caught Kim's shout out for your channel and enjoyed the afternoon watching your videos. Oh, that's cool. Glad you're here. And what we do here is we just talk about whatever comes up as long as it's sort of car related and try to stay away from politics and religion and things. But other than that, we get a pretty much open show. Although recently, every week we've been giving it a year. And so if you got pictures of cars, or especially if you have, 1967 is the year this week. So 67 is kind of interesting.
Is that better?
Oh, man, yeah, you look better.
Okay. He doesn't want me to look like a clown. And I don't want to look like a clown.
That was over the top.
I thought I looked very made up. But it was, maybe it was too much. It was very hasty. Just like what I have done is hasty. But luckily, we have...
Okay, let me get through I'm doing the beginning here. Levi's Backyard Performance. Dylan, how you doing?
Hey, Dylan!
Says just swinging in before bed because you probably got to get up early. Yeah, you were. You're one of those.
Thanks for stopping in.
You're one of those guys that works a long day, and
we appreciate you. I hope your project's moving along. He's working on LS motors.
Somehow you work a job and you also build a car, which is amazing. Let's see who else. Gearhead 6971's here. Good evening. Mexican Spec. I already announced Mexican Spec, but he's here and he's saying hi to everybody. And
Mexican
yep,
Spec, thanks
okay.
for being here. Our moderator at large.
Buff is right. No clowns here. uh, okay, so Kim, you usually do the introduction, who you are and what.
It was very brief, but I'll start over. I'll help get things back on track. Although you did really well getting through. I didn't award any points yet, so I will scroll back in a minute and do points. I just wanted to mention that luckily I don't have to spend a lot of time on my makeup because through the magic of 720p, everything is soft and warm. Lots of light. Oh, speaking of lighting, the big light's not on. I gotta turn on the
Well,
big
you
light.
were not in here. You were busy. Yeah.
Well, I gotta do everything.
Well, and I can't even climb back there. Plugging that light in, this lower light right here,
Yeah.
that was everything I could do to reach that socket.
I know.
Because you're tall and you got long arms and I can't reach them. Oh man, that brought some light.
That makes a big difference.
Now we have more light.
Yeah. Lighting is essential. We have a video about lighting.
Yeah, I did a short on lighting. So that'll be probably get put up tonight for tomorrow morning.
Yeah, there you go. Lighting. We want that warm glow.
Levi says, Levi, backyard performance. I'm young and dumb. That's me and I love it. Being young allows me energy, make dumb mistakes, and me spend that energy on things that don't make money. You know,
enjoy the heck out of it.
When I was your age,
enjoy it.
When I was your age, I had a radiator shop that I borrowed money. Here's the scary thing. I went out and applied for a loan to buy an existing radiator shop, and I thought the chances of doing that were zero, and they approved the loan. It's like, and this is in the mid 70s, in 1975, and it was 10 grand, which is like, that's like 40 grand now. So all of a sudden, I'm a 21-year-old kid with a loan where I owe more money than I could ever imagine, and I bought the shop, and I was busy with that. But you know, I had a shop, so after work, that's when I built the Cougar. That's when I was always building my own cars then out in front of that shop. And so yeah, of course you got to do that stuff when you can do it. All right, Kat. Okay, go on. I'm sorry, I butted in.
All right, I'm going to go back up and award a couple of points. And here on the channel, we award points when people make us happy, when they do positive community things, when they encourage people, when they help our brains, because our brains are we're having problems. He is getting a little of the dementia, right? And
I got dementia.
Just the tiniest bit, right? Sometimes,
like I can't remember somebody's name.
Sometimes he'll be
you know the
he knows who he means.
And
then he'll be like
the effing doctor.
He just stops and he's like, so if you can help, I'll award points. If you can beat us to the punch, heck yeah, I'll award the points. It's an on your honor system. If I award you points, you got to keep track, right? I'm not going to go back and check until you try and make a purchase with your points. And that there's a toaster. It's 150 points, so that'll be a while. Or if you're willing to pay shipping and handling for 50 points, you can have a 1999 Subaru wagon with a blown up motor.
Well, it's complete.
Thrice blown up motor.
It's complete, and there's an extra engine, I think.
There's two extra. There's a 3 blown up Subaru engines and a whole Subaru with title.
And the car's not a piece of junk.
There's no speck of rust on it.
Really nice car.
The turn signals don't work, which you would think is not a problem, but it's like really a headache trying to
stick your arm out the window.
All right, so let me award some points. It's fun. And some people take it very seriously, so let's make sure. Now, Buddy Carvano was here at 1 in the afternoon and at 6:42. Has he said anything since we started?
Said he sent in
He did at 7 o'clock. So, Buddy Carvano, I'm going to award you 3 points for being here first.
Well, wait a minute. JB's Little Shop was here.
Well, that's different.
And Olive was here at 7.
That's different. He made the first comment on the stream.
What?
Buddy Carvano.
Go back. I don't believe that.
At 1:09 p.m. That's the very top.
I see. I see.
He gets 3 points. Okay. Now, at 7, The very first person to make a comment that is tagged with the 7 p.m. is Lester LeSabre. Lester LeSabre has been a loyal person. He's been here and he's working on a LeSabre. Anyways, so he's here at 7 for the start of the stream. I'm awarding him 3 points as well tonight. I'm feeling generous. Everyone who put in a comment at 7, which would be Olive and JB's Little Shop, also get an additional 2 points. So there's some points at the start of the stream. Mariposa McNabb, first timer here. I'm awarding you a point for making your very first comment. Thanks for being here.
So Mariposa McNabb.
Everyone else, welcome to the stream. I am Kim.
1/50th of the way to a Subaru.
There you go. I am Kim. My channel is Kim Fixes Things. You can find me on YouTube, and I fix things. I work on a lot of the same projects, but when Buff Del Campo is not there, it seems weird to put just me working on my stuff on his channel. And it's hard because his channel is monetized. So I might make 50 cents if I put the video on his channel and get a bunch of views. But if I put it on my channel, I get nothing. But I still put it on my channel because it's my stuff.
But your channel is growing. I mean, you've got enough subs to get monetized. I think you need a few more view hours.
I think channel growth and monetization, we're just not there. We don't produce the Hollywood studio quality stuff like the big guys do. And we don't have the long reputation of stuff that's the big guys have. So it just takes a lot of time, and you might get there, you might not. I don't know how it's done. Honestly, I don't. But I'm not too worried about it. I'm not going to lose a bunch of sleep over it. So check out my channel. I would love if you subscribed over there. We would also love if you are able, if the button is somewhere within your reach, that you hit the like button. Because it helps our visibility, and that seems to be a good thing. So we're supposed to ask. They tell us to ask, and it will help us. And since we're not asking for monies, it doesn't seem like a lot to ask for. Just a like. It doesn't cost anything, hopefully. I don't know. Do you think they'll start charging? YouTube will charge you to click the like button soon?
You come up with this stuff.
I don't know. You never know.
Okay, just go.
Okay, we are here in our studio on Tuesday.
You got to scroll because we're losing all the comments.
We've lost all of the chat. I apologize. I'm doing my intro. On Tuesday nights, it is community time. We're not working on our project on Tuesday night. We come to our studio that we have lovingly and carefully arranged every light bulb, every source of lighting that we can find. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
we got
10.
Low ones down here. We got low lights down
10
here.
light bulbs. And you know how radio stations used to talk about millions of watts of power? We may have 1,000 watts of lighting to bring you the crispness of stream. You know, coming to you live at 720p with 1,000 watts of LED lighting.
Which is really about 50 watts. You get extra watts.
Oh no, that wattage is 250 watts
really?
of LED. It's one of those great big round LEDs. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm so off of there. If you guys are tuning in after the live stream to see what we talked about, we try, as the stream is going, because it's community stream, we try and interact with our chat, which we can see on a big screen in front of us, and we read the chat.
I want to interrupt you. JB's Little Shop says, dang, I just grabbed my phone and go for it. We used to have a camera here we could swing around. We don't have that anymore, do we?
No. When we set up the shop,
camera went up there?
It got dragged up to the shop.
Because I'd like to do a sweep through to show what what this looks like, all these monitors and all this.
We're going to have to do it next time. It is.
Got a 55-inch monitor it was a TV that, of course, who watches TV, so we put it in here. It's on its edge, it's vertical, and that's what all the chat's on, and I can see it even with my close-up glasses on from some distance.
It's
And that's
embarrassingly
pretty nice.
janky.
It's pretty nice.
It is precarious. Everything is just like leaning and an old garage sale looking thing. But man, do give away your magic. All right, maybe we will do a long form content of what our studio looks like, but I have to have time to clean up before we do that because it looks really janky.
It's just.
I've got stuff hanging up to break the echo and reflect the light and soften, like I have sheets in front of some of the lights.
There's some blankets hanging there
because the glare is real bad.
Soften it.
So like we've got a lot going on here to make everything happen,
Something.
I've got some moving blankets draped over some of the furniture. This is a padded table and it's got a tablecloth and I've got a towel on the floor and moving blankets and cushions and padding, all this crazy stuff so that we can come to you live. And all we ask is for you to participate. We want you to tell us about your projects, tell us about your channels, tell us about your week. Talk to us. This is community time. When we're in the shop, it's a little bit more difficult. We don't have the green screen. We can't, if we're working, we can't always, see what's going on. Although it's getting better out there. We have a 32-inch screen out there just for the chat so that we can pay attention to you. So, a lot of the people who are in our chat are part of the car club that we're a group of, and that's the No Name Nationals, and that is worked by John Wilburn. So if you don't know who John Wilburn is, you can check out the John Wilburn channel. And we are going to try and read the names. I always remind him to read the names and out loud read comments that we are responding to so that if you can't see the chat, because on replays, sometimes it shows the chat, sometimes it doesn't. We don't seem to know how to make that happen all the time. So if you can't see the chat, we'll try to read you the chat so you know who we're talking about. And this way you can follow along with what's happening. And sometimes they talk in between, interspersed. People talk back and forth and we can't really comment on every conversation. Oh, that is a pretty car.
Okay. But you need to shrink us down and try to make that
up there.
I can't manipulate that because Buddy Carfano sent it as a link. And if you send pictures, I can do anything.
Well, that seems pretty good.
If you send it with a link, I can't do anything, but maybe Kim can move it. There we go. There we go. Yeah, and I know you like those.
That's a nice wagon. It's got I like the bubble top.
Yeah, that's there's a name for that.
That's his way of telling me that I am talking too long.
Well, I just want to get a word in. 60.
I'm excited.
No, that's good.
20 minutes ago, he's like, "Are you going to be okay? You're really quiet." It's like I got to get amped up and ready to go because we want to have fun. I look forward to the live stream every week. I hope that you do. A lot of people who are in the stream are here like every week. That is amazing. Thank you so much for coming in. Even if you can only stay for 5 or 10 minutes, even if you can only watch afterwards, we appreciate it. And we want you to feel included. One of the ways that we do that is we give you his email address, and you can send us stuff that we will try and look at during the stream. And so that is buffdelcampo@gmail.com. The name of the channel @gmail.com. You want me to type it in?
Yeah. Then they have a link.
Okay, he's going to talk while I type.
Okay. Let's see here. Where were we? Mexican Spec said he had a Vista Cruiser wagon exactly like that when he lived in Las Vegas. Let's see. 6th Street Garage asked me, "Hey Buff, in your aviation days, did you ever see a Liberty aircraft engine?" No. My most of my aircraft experience was, if you know airplanes at all, C-141 transport aircraft, C-5 transport aircraft, the big giant airplanes, and I worked on engines, whatever you could figure out what engines they have, and then later on I worked on civilian, mostly single and twin engine airplanes, and then back to the military again. As a contractor, I worked on, here goes the word, drones, but pretty good sized drones, 1,500 pound, pretty good sized vehicles, all the way down to smaller ones. But uh, Rotax, 4-cylinder Rotax engines, 100 horsepower ish. And probably some other airplanes in there when I was on the civilian side, working on, I don't know, Piper Cherokee 6, and I don't know, there were some others. So let's see here.
KJ Kiley makes a relevant comment. She says that Vista Cruiser, which is this, would be good for spotting drones. Yes, all the news about drones. You can lie on your back and stare at the sky and look at constellations and satellites and, survey the sky and see if you can see anything otherworldly out there. That's pretty neat. There's a lot of people looking at the skies. There's a lot in the news I see about that.
Mexican Spec says if you move the sun visors out of the way, they block the rear windows.
Are they that big?
Well, they have sun visors up there in those back windows.
Oh, I see. Well, yeah, that would be good, because otherwise it would just be like an oven, like a solar oven.
Just sitting in a restaurant today. Oh, this is Gearhead 6971. Sitting in a restaurant today in Bismarck, North Dakota, and I saw 5 drones fly by outside. If you can really identify them as drones, this whole
well, they
thing in
might
New
be
Jersey,
drones, but there's a lot of drones.
This whole thing in New Jersey
I heard
is crazy.
someone say today that there's like 1 million registered drones in the United States. Those are the registered drones.
Well, okay, JG Mopar, UDX76. Hello, how you doing?
So just because you see some drones doesn't mean they're really anything out of the ordinary.
Olive's got it right. People that never looked up before are now freaking out over landing lights and constellations.
What are those little twinkling lights in the sky? Like, those are stars.
Well, what amazes me is I'm watching fuzzy pictures and everything, and you see this drone that's supposedly an alien or something, and it's got FAA required lighting on it. And if you zoom in a little bit, you can see it looks like a helicopter. It's like, oh yeah, the aliens are coming in with FAA required lighting. I don't know. I have my own.
Mexican Spec says 20 minutes in and we are just starting to talk about cars. That is a long intro. I'm sorry.
Well, we got talking about everything else.
Man.
Rob's Rods and Streetcars.
From our own moderator. Pulls no punches. Get to it, Cam. We're sick of it. Dougster is here. Potato. Who said they were aliens, though? Oh, yeah, they dance around. They call them UFOs, and then they call them UAP. Plausible deniability.
Yeah.
If we give them a different name, then we can say we don't really know. I don't know. What do I know?
Let's see here. Have no fear, the Dougster's here. You already got that. Okay, Dougster. It's a Vista Cruiser. It's made to cruise the vistas.
That's kind of cool.
JG Mopar. Had 2 fighter jets buzzing around my area yesterday. Where is your area anyway? About? Man, I didn't get to work on fighters much. A couple of times when I just happened to be TDY somewhere and had to go up with something, but and of course at the test site we had stuff around. Volkswagen, Old's version of the Greyhound Cena Cruiser. Okay.
It kind of is, you can, it's...
Except you're not sitting up higher.
Honestly, the thing about the window at the top is like, what are you going to do? I mean, I don't know. There's not as much to see. The big side windows are the part that's really cool.
Okay, and while we're on the subject of drones, this is something I know a lot about. I worked in the military with drones for more than 10 years.
Don't be telling them anything classified.
If you're going to go do this stuff, go take the FAA Part 107 test and get yourself, which is just learning the rules of the road. It's like going out and driving without a license, Just go get that, and then you'll know what you're doing, and you won't get yourself in trouble. So Part 107, it's not a difficult test. It's a multiple choice test. You can study for the test and get certified, and you'll be a responsible operator then. Okay, enough of my... This is scrolling so fast I can't keep up with
JG,
it.
just pick one and read it. JG Mopar says Venture County near Point Magu Naval Base. Yeah,
Point Magoo. That's
Oh, he knows. Okay.
yeah, sure. That's north of the Los Angeles area, and it's along the coast.
Yeah, they
And
fly airplanes around naval bases. It's crazy.
Dr. Go's here. I want to say it because he's disappeared.
Welcome to the stream, Dr. Go. Tell Mrs. Dr. Go I said hello.
Rich says he has 2 drones. It's pretty cool. Oh, there we are, Ventura County near Point Magoo. Okay, originally I grew up in up north, about 100 miles north of Point Magoo. So, but I left there in 91. I was gone out of California. Well, I was gone out of California in the military, came back because I went home and then moved on to chase work all my life. Dexter Wolverine, not to be confused with Studio 54.
Yeah, no, not like that at all.
6th Street Garage, true. Not sure what's true. Oh, yeah, and UDX, Mopar, it's a Mexican Spec saying he knows that area pretty well. Yeah, that's Mexican Spec grew up in that whole Southern California area and Las Vegas and all that.
A little hysteria is a good distraction from, the woes of our daily grind. So, I've been digging into the hysteria. Like, I look every day to see what the new drone news is.
Kylie says we don't need no stinking registrations. Yeah, but I mean, getting a Part 107 is.
She's just quoting a movie.
Is that she or he? I don't know. It's KJ. I don't want to say she.
No, KJ is a friend of mine.
Oh,
that's why I say she.
I didn't know.
And yeah, that's for a reference to we don't need no stinking badges. But I don't think that they're saying. I'm sure KJ has like a driver's license and stuff like that because you got to have those things.
Okay, we're gonna move on to another car.
Is it a 67?
Now I don't know how to fix this.
Oh, okay. I have a clicky thing for this now because of the.
Yeah, because
we noticed that we were getting the same issue over and over, and so that we don't just get mad, we accommodate.
So this is once again from Buddy Carpano. He's sitting in a ton.
Thank you, Buddy, for sending in pictures.
Ton of.
And if you were not here or haven't been here, we started a few weeks ago, about a month ago. We started doing every week. We pick a date, or not a date, a year, not a decade, a year. This week is going to be 1967. Okay. And then we kind of try at least to spend part of the stream focused on that year. Because for a while there, we were like all over the place and we were talking about the cars and projects that people in the chat are doing, which was fun, but it was starting to get a little stale and it wasn't nice for everyone because not everyone could participate because they just did last week, or maybe their project is not really moving ahead, or maybe they don't have a project at all and they just like old cars. And picking a year gives us all something to think about a little bit. So 1967, and go ahead. Talk about the car. It's a Buick GS.
I'm lost. Yeah,
like
you're just
color.
rolling on and I'm kind of lost. Let's see here.
We don't need no stinking badges.
Chris could not find a pic of my 67 Jeep. Okay.
Isn't that from Blazing Saddles? We don't need no stinking badges. Yeah. Badgers sounds like it from UF.
Well, this is not a GMC.
It is a rolling joke.
Okay, you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to.
Beautiful truck.
Center that up a bit.
When I see one of these on the market, I think, oh man, I would rather have that than the truck I have because I have a 94 Dodge Ram. And that's my project truck. And I've worked on it quite a bit, but it doesn't really interest most people. But I like it. And but this Chevy is high on my list. That's a very pretty Chevy. And the later ones,
that's a 1 year body style, sorta. Because it's the only year that had the small back window. After that, the window went wall to wall back there in tall, 68 through 72. Same body style except the big window. So to me, the 67 was always the one that was worth something because it had the small window and it was
See, I like a
noticeable.
big back window, but
So
the
did
grill
everybody. So did everybody.
is
But
the grill the same after 67?
I think 68 was the same.
Okay.
But
I like that front end, that nose.
what they did was they did that 1 year for that small window, and I kind of like it because it's different. Okay, Jody Pearson says yes. Not sure what that yes is for. I
Yes,
think we're long
Jody.
beyond there.
I said something, and Jody was agreeing.
Agreeing.
Yes, because I was accurate. Because yes.
Oh yeah, and Chris goes small back window. Yep. BNR Racing, I've become a Broken Arrow expert the last few days. First time it happened was 1957 in USA. Broken Arrow was a code word that's so well known now. It's nothing code about it anymore. It's when there's an accident with a nuclear weapon, gets loose, gets dropped accidentally.
Oh, we can't talk about nuclear
So
weapons.
so
We'll get
that's what
demonetized.
broken arrow means. And there's all kinds of videos about those the incidents that have happened over the
That
years.
is a rabbit hole if you want to go down that kind of
So
thing.
I'm just saying, okay, so that's what broken arrow expert means.
Nice. BNR Racing. Welcome to the stream. BNR has been very supportive and lent a lot of chat to the channel.
And Mariposa McNabb.
Appreciate you being here.
Straight 6 3-speed fleet side. You know what fleet side means in General Motors speak? Fleet side is like the side like this.
Yeah.
Step side is where there's a step, and
yeah.
an inboard.
The opposite of
Yeah.
the step side is the fleet side. Very nice.
Yeah, straight 6 3-speed. That would be kind of cool. Although I'd kind of like it with a. I think 67 used to. I think the base V8 was a 283. That'd be kind of interesting with 283 and automatic too.
As far as engine choices go, right? Very reliable, very, but my Dodge, my 94 Dodge, has a Magnum 318, which puts out at least 250 horsepower, maybe more.
Oh, the green one.
260 horsepower, something like that. And it has a 4-speed automatic transmission. So it's got overdrive so that if you get on the highway, you can still get phenomenal gas mileage. It's a nice truck.
Maybe.
In that way, drivetrain-wise.
Maybe you could pull up a 67 GMC pickup, which would be the equivalent of that because Chris was talking about has 4 headlights, and we could bring up the GMC to show the difference. And I think the GMC looks pretty good too. They're different, same body but different truck. Yeah, there you go, like that. What? Yeah, one of them's really lowered there.
Well, yeah.
That black one right there that you just flew across next to
This
me.
one?
Yeah. I don't know if you can get that scooched over there.
I can scooch you. Let's see, how do I do that?
I don't know. Yeah, there's the 67 GMC nose piece, which I think looks pretty good too.
Yeah, I like that Chevy. That Chevy is
Chevy looks good too.
really nice. I'm a fan. And who sent that one in? Buddy Carafano.
Buddy Carafano sent in a
pulled
load of stuff.
He pulled some stuff out of the Classic Auto Mall. Stuff he probably would love to have. Add to his collection. We have a dynamic collection. That means that it keeps changing.
Well,
we add things and then things have to go away because you can't keep them all, or we can't keep them all.
Since you've been here, I haven't seen any go away. I haven't seen any go away. I've only seen you collect them. And although I guess the
Who, me?
I guess the Subaru is up for. Oh, I guess one of them did get.
The green car, the most valuable car I had.
The most valuable one got sold.
I had to sell so that I could buy the skid loader, so that we could get things cleaned up around here and keep it moving.
And my Mazda got sold because it had to. It was
the insurance company
totaled, and the insurance company took it. So that was that.
Yeah, that
was a sad day.
I'm sorry. I know you. Buddy Carafano said I had a 67 pickup with a 396 4-speed. Now there's a truck. That is with a power plant there. Now, I'll bet the gas mileage is not so great, but hey, you can't have everything, and if you want a truck, there's a truck. And honestly, with the extra couple miles per gallon difference, the years between 67 and a modern truck, that pickup truck has paid for itself 10 times over compared to what a new truck will, even with better gas.
KJ Kylie says, love all the room under hood. No kidding. You know how nice those were? You could open up the hood,
Crawl in there.
lots of room
Close
to
the
work.
hood.
And what's really good is the heater core is accessible with two heater hoses. Wait a minute, two heater hoses and a panel, and you pull it off, and you pull the heater core from this side, from the engine side of the firewall. And why cars aren't like that today, I don't know. Big full-size Fords were like that for many years. The Chevy pickups were like that. And then now they think the heater core has to be 8, 10, 12-hour job to get it out from under the dash. You know, it's just, and that's an item that needs to be serviceable. I can't imagine why they've done that. It really stinks.
Mexican Spec and Gearhead are talking about Roseanne divesting in her. I don't remember.
I don't know anything about all that stuff.
But you're
Sorry.
allowed to have a
Sorry about
conversation in the chat, but we may not always try and follow it because I don't know what's going on. GMC has a way better grill. Elvis owned a dark green GMC in this body style, says Dougster Wolverine Garage. Olive says, usually for me, I think I like the Chevy grill better in this case. Yeah, I like the Chevy grill better than the GMC grill in 67.
1967 year model. I was 12 years old when they came out, which is late in 66. And man, I ran down to the hobby shop, and we had a hobby shop in town that had a really good section of car models. And I bought a 67 Chevy pickup and built it because I liked that front end so much. I liked that truck so much after the previous year, those were good too, but I thought this was wonderful. And I don't know why this isn't called the square body. To me, that's a pretty square body. It's not like the square body. You sort of round it off compared to this. So I don't know. I like these better than the one everybody calls a square body. Mariposa McNabb. I do like some 4 headlight setups. It says, don't be that guy, Buff. The more the merrier. I'm not sure what he's talking about. The more the merrier.
Sorry, Mexican Spec. We're not sure what you're...
The more the merrier.
We are inclusive.
Not sure. That's real. I love quad headlights.
You might have been talking about headlights.
Yeah, I have like 10 headlights. Let's see. Rich, I sub to him. Thanks. 6th Street Garage. The small back window is a standard glass. The big back is higher look. 67 was the last year of the small back window, I think, because of DOT. I don't know. I never saw a big back window in 67. I never did. JB's Little Shop, 396, 454, 7 miles a gallon. Been there, done that. Yeah, you know, I've driven some of the big blocks. The one that was the last one that I drove cross country pulling a trailer was the 496, which is something liters. I don't know. It's a big block, but it has all the injection and all the modern induction. And that thing, man, this is scrolling by so fast. Kim, we're gonna have to back up a little bit. I'm sorry.
Where do you want to go?
Well, I'm talking and it just zips away. I don't know. So anyway, that thing got better than 7 miles a gallon, but probably got like 12 or 13 or something. But that was the 496, and that was a torquey engine. I'll look for a pic of my 67 GTX convertible. I traded in on it. Yeah, I'd like to see that. Rich, it takes 2 to change the battery in my Escape. The wipers have to come off the Masters. Oh, yeah, I've seen those. Yep, I know right where you mean. Okay, scroll it down again. I caught up, I think. Or did I?
Oh, Mexican Spec says the more vehicles, the merrier. Remember he said more the merrier?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes. Not always. No. The more pain. But we're doing good.
Yeah, well, what happens is we get too many, and then, you know, I mean, we've got 4 acres here, but we have neighbors, and you start, you know, and neighbors that live out here, they have like 1 or 2 cars that are
Nice cars.
2 or 3 years old and they're polished, and that's what they have in their driveway
Nice
and,
houses, nice
maybe in a
driveways.
garage. And they drive by our place and see a bunch
We're
of cars
junking it up.
30
Yep.
or 40 years old. Even when they're in line and look nice, what they see is junk.
Yeah, we
And
see patina, they see scrap metal.
and that is not pretty in the neighborhood. So our lot kind of goes downhill. So what I asked Kim to do is park the
Outback.
cars down lower so you can't see them from the street, and park them in a line so they don't look all like just wrecking yard style, and maybe keep the complaints to a minimum. I don't want any complaints.
Hey, pop up a different picture. We'll trade up once.
Okay, and
Then you can keep reading.
And we've lost the chat again because we're
No. They said it's insane about all the removing stuff. B&R Racing says, JB, my 454 Gen 6 pickup with 410 gears, 5,000 pounds, gets 16 miles to gallon at 70 miles per hour.
Oh, I see.
Towing Jeff Tuhack's 68 Thunderbird with his 8,000 pound rated trailer to Morocco, Indiana, it got 10 to 12. So towing a trailer gets 10 to 12 and 16 miles per
but
hour
we
and
don't know
70
what
miles per hour.
Gen 6 pickup. So I don't know which one that is, and that could be electronic engine. I'm not sure.
I mean, it takes a certain amount of energy to do a certain amount of work. So it doesn't matter how good it is. At some point, you still have to use fuel to do work. That's the facts.
The newer GMCs have too big of a grill. Yeah, I agree. I see these big new trucks coming down the road. It's like a freight train coming at you. And I don't understand why they look the way they do. Some of them are pretty bad. I see new trucks. I don't like any of them. They just look just this massive grill coming
They
at
have
you.
gotten bigger and bigger and bigger.
I'm not sure. I think a nice mini truck would sell real well. Well, I mean, driving to the doctor, whatever it was, 2 days ago that I went over there,
Yeah.
I saw several. What's the new small Ford? The
Raptor. Ranger.
Bronco. Bronco. I saw several Broncos, which is a much.
They're
more,
really
That's
cute.
a smaller car compared to
The price is a little bit hard to swallow,
compared
but
to the pickups.
But if you are in the market for a new vehicle, they're really attractive. I think they look really good. They have sort of a retro vibe, retro modern vibe, and I dig it. I can't afford it though, but hey.
Well, yeah, but it's a smaller vehicle. They don't come at you like.
But you know what?
freight train off
I
the
probably
rails.
could afford it if I had no other vehicles, and I was just renting a small place and working a regular job, and that's the thing I wanted. I could afford it. So that's probably who they're looking for.
Okay, the chat is not moving because we've scrolled back.
Well, we need to stop.
Okay, we got catch up because I'm watching over here and it's just over here. It's parked.
Okay. On to the cow panel. They're talking about poorly designed vehicles that are difficult and overpriced to maintain because of the way they are put together. And the people designing the vehicles are not the kind of people who have ever maintained vehicles. Mechanics don't design vehicles because you have to basically spend your entire life dedicated to. This is where these problems arise, is they do not have mechanics, are nowhere in the pipeline, right? Mechanics do mechanic work, designers do design work, and the two people are divorced from birth. They are. Designers are big money people. They go to big expensive colleges. They focus their whole life on design. Their focus is on design with no thought of what has worked in the past or why things are simplified, what it is like to maintain. They just have no concept of what that is. So they make choices that are easy to question when you are on the other side of that coin, because they're the gap between the rich and the poor, or the guy at the top and the guy at the bottom, it's ever widening in our society and in automotive design. Didn't Stellantis just lay off all their design people?
I don't know.
They were mad.
The auto industry's not anything like what it was.
Dougster Wolverine Garage says, I seen a YouTube short. A dealer is selling last year's Scat Pack Challenger for 93K. Is that good, Wolverine Garage? I mean, they're fast cars.
I mean,
It's only $100,000.
okay, here's one of my favorites.
Oh,
But you
here we go. I can fix it.
That's a 67 full-size Pontiac. Man, I had one of those. Mine was white. What a great car that was. I wish that's one of those. I wish I still had it.
Yeah.
Man, it was a
I really love
giant
that
car.
front end.
I
but
love
the
that
rest
front
of the
end.
car is
I
amazing.
like that front end. And I got one of those.
It's got those little shark fins up on the fender.
I don't know. It's kind of a weird front end, but I sure like it. For the cars with the beaks on the nose.
And
I think
it
that
looks
one's
very
good.
classic with them Kragers on there. White letters
Yeah,
and
mine
Kragers.
mine had whatever the stock wheels were.
Scat Pack Challenger should be around 60K.
We got a moth flying around here again.
I don't know, Mexican spec. I mean, I think you can get a used one for around 60K.
I had enough of this moth. Oh, get rid of him. He's trouble.
Cope Racing Transmission says 425 transmission.
Where's Cope Racing Transmission? Oh,
Welcome
there
to
he
the
is.
stream.
Ah, yeah, welcome. Didn't even see him come in.
Johnny C., welcome to the stream. I'm sure I haven't said anything to you before tonight. B&R Racing says a 1967 full-size Pontiac. Kim looks best in Grand Prix convertible. I don't like convertibles so much in the classic cars. I think it's because I've never really owned them. I think people who maybe have had them or been around them might have an affinity for them, but have never owned convertibles. So it's foreign to me, so it doesn't grab my attention. But, the convertible people and the muscle people are sort of like there's a little bit of a divide there. Most people don't build muscle cars as convertibles. I think is it a safety thing or is it a price thing?
Well, when
Convertibles used
they
to be-
quit making them, it was because it was a safety thing, and then they brought them back again. But a lot of them have like a hoop, or they have something, or the Mercedes has a pop-up roll bar and that kind of stuff. And so there's convertibles around again. Like I had a '66 Mustang convertible. I drove it one time with the top up. Other than that, I get in that thing, that top was down, and I drove it around like that, and I had it for less than a year. And I was in Southern California, or Central California, so the weather was decent enough I could do that. And yeah, it was fun, but I was 19 or 20 or something then. I don't know. I'm just what I don't like about convertible, especially living here in Tennessee, is the weather's kind of crappy compared to Southern California. And the tops they always deteriorate. There's always, you better know somebody that's good at fixing convertible tops. Unless it's almost new, or unless you can afford to put a brand new top on it. Because I have struggled with that, and it's not fun. And I'd rather just have a good headliner and hard top, and close the door and sealed inside,
Dougster Wolverine Garage says Mexican spec says Hellcats are close to 100K with no markup, and the Scat Pack is a much cheaper version. There you go. Thank you for the guidance. If I ever need to buy a Hellcat or a Scat Pack, I will know not to pay the wrong amounts for those. But they're not in my radar right now. Maybe we should start doing new car reviews. We'll go test drive cars and talk about what we think.
Here's another 67 I like, full-size Ford. I remember those when they were new.
Galaxy or something?
Yeah, it's a Galaxy.
Oh, very nice. Dougster Wolverine Garage says, my friend's 94 Ram, 1-ton, dually, 4x4 Cummins 5-speed regular cab, loaded truck was $32K in 1994. I will bet with a Cummins, if he needed a 1-ton dually for work, that he got his $32K of value out of that truck, because those were hard-working trucks. Hard-working trucks. A lot of value in that build, right? If you take care of that, that is going to pay dividends. That's an investment.
Carl had an '01, same thing. but I don't know what he paid for it. But that thing, it had close to 200,000 miles on it.
Yeah, I mean, of
Yeah,
hard work, and it will do it. So, I mean,
just
those trucks, and in '94, that looked like a lot of money. 32K. I bought my first house for less than that. So, and it was 90, it was like 96. So, like, that's a big investment. Money is different. Money changes. I don't know how to say it. Okay, JG Mopar says my friend had a 1970 AAR Cuda that he sold to buy a Fox Body Mustang. He regrets that deal. It haunts him to this day. He did it in the early 90s. At the time, it looked like a good thing. But yeah, that would probably haunt you. Mexican Sex says convertibles are a pain in the rump. I mean, if you want a convertible, if you like a convertible, then it's worth the pain. See, Buddy Carafano says I'm a convertible junkie. The people who love a convertible, it's worth it. They don't mind that there's a little bit of extra maintenance. It's hard to keep them dry.
oh,
The windows notoriously leak.
look who's
Tops wear
here.
out.
Tavo's here.
Tavo is
Hey,
here.
I'm gonna switch gears
He's
here with
probably on an early lunch
I'm
break.
gonna switch gears here with pictures.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Tavo is
but
visiting
I
from
need you to.
Aussie. Yes, we need a different screen, so it will come down. I can do that.
Okay, Tavo wrote me an email.
I'm going to make this a little smaller. I'm going to get us out of here a little bit because we're not as important as we think we are.
I gotta pull up Tavo's
Mhm.
email. And what he says is Down Under, the 67 released third generation Valiant was heavily based on the 67 US Valiant, but with a Dodge Dart front sheet metal. But we also got a station wagon and a Ute. So there's the Ute, and you see, obviously, it's a 67 Dart front end with some of the grill in it, an Australian grill. And then I'm going to try to bring up the other pics he
That's a
sent.
lovely car.
Oh, yeah,
That
I
would be
like that.
cool to have. They are
And
rare in the United States.
there is the 67 and later Valiant, 67 Valiant wagon, which we never got here. And something else I noticed in Australia is those louvers. Everybody puts those louvers in the
I don't
back
like the
windows.
side louvers at all.
People put those, like every Australian station wagon I see, it seems like has those in it. So that must be a thing there.
It looks like a late 80s apartment building. It's not so good.
When I was a little kid, old men would do that in their
It's
station wagons.
distracting, yeah.
Like their station wagons from you'd see like a 58 Chrysler and have those things in it. It'd be some old codger driving around. But I guess that's a thing in Australia. So they got a Valiant wagon, which is pretty cool. And the taillights kind of look like a Barracuda to me, which I like. And then the third picture he sent was that one. And obviously the Dodge Dart nose piece, front clip, whatever you want to say,
That's a really
obvious.
sharp photo. It looks nice.
So he sent all three of those. I just wanted to wait till he got in here till I started showing
Welcome
this.
to the stream, Tavo. Thank you for sending pictures.
Yeah, JG Mopar says, I was going to say it looks like a dart from the front. That thing is cool. You know, when you look at the Australian Valiants and the Utes, some of them say Chrysler on them. Some of them say, I don't think any of them say Plymouth. They say Valiant, and they say Chrysler on them. And then like this one says Valiant across the hood, but obviously it's Dart sheet metal from the U.S. Let's see, our Mexican spec. There used to be a local 67 Grand Prix 428 automatic red, white top, red interior. Probably worth 120K now. Don't know. When the top goes down, so does my interest. Yeah. I was saying the only convertible I ever had was a 66 Mustang. I guess my 87 Corvette had a removable panel. And so it wasn't sort of a convertible, but no soft top, but I could feel the body wasn't as stiff when you didn't have that top in there. And the other thing is the air would catch back in there and you go 70 miles an hour. Inside that car from the buffeting. I didn't like that at all. Okay, 38 Racing said
Convertibles
something
are way better for a nice cruise than a long highway trip.
I was about to read 38 Racing and
Go
he
ahead.
disappeared.
Remember, I will go back.
Just right there, not much. Just like one there. Hell, I don't even like hard tops, much less convertibles. You don't like hardtops, man. That's something I liked. Was those cars you have, the 59 60 Chevy. I like the hardtops. Okay, don't go too far back. I already got those.
Olive said I miss T-tops on
Oh,
occasion lately. I have that 300ZX and it has T-tops. I wish I could do something with that car. We're so
well,
busy with other
we got
projects.
too many. Yeah, just do all the projects at once.
Yeah, I would love to. I wish I had, 3 times as many hours in a day. The problem is the hours keep ticking by, and then the bills are due again, and you just can
Well,
only do so
and
much.
look what happens when you work on a car. Like your whatever that thing is, Dart. You
Which
put
we
that
haven't talked about
you
at all
put the you
tonight.
put the engine together. We got up there one night. We installed, put the transmission on the engine, dropped the whole engine transmission unit in there. Man, all of a sudden it looks complete, but it's not. There's all the little stuff, and you've been picking at it and picking at it and picking at it every night up there, and so
It was the
so
same way with your Valiant.
so when it looks like it's done,
Yeah.
it's you got a lot of work to do yet.
Almost done.
So
The best.
so and
That
the,
means 3 more weeks of every night tinkering on
and
it.
the reason it's taking longer is because of the automatic transmission. Okay, there was no shift linkage, there's no kickdown linkage, so the throttle linkage had to be modified, and so there's a lot of making little parts because of course we didn't have any of those parts. So Kim's over there on the grinder and cutting and
I
sawing
have been
and grinding
fabricating
and welding and
because
making all this sort of
I'm
stuff.
making because
And it all takes time. And man,
66 between 66 and 68 they changed the column, they changed the shifting from push button. I could have cut in a floor shifter, but I didn't have all the stuff I would need. If I bought a cable shifter, it'd be like $200, and then I'd have to be cutting on the floor and stuff like that. So I'm modifying the column shift for the. It's a lot of stuff. It's little stuff. The car's going together. And if you didn't know, Tuesday is not the only night that we stream. We've been a little bit scarce on the late night
oh,
streams, but later in the week, we do cleanup crew streams where we work on the car late at night, like maybe starting at around 10 o'clock when everybody else is kind of done streaming. When the big streamers are done, we start around 10 o'clock and work in the shop. And we were doing that really routine for a while. Then we were both kind of sick. We're getting better, and we went back to it, and I've been working on the Dart out in the garage. So if you like to just chat, hang out for a while, check us out late at night in the shop. And the Dart, I'm committed. The Dart will run. We will do the first start and run on the new engine in the Dart before New Year.
for
Maybe
New Year.
on New Year, but before the New Year.
It's a week to Christmas. Hopefully
It's a
done.
week till Christmas,
Hopefully
and
it's done
we are
by
going to
then.
have that car running in under 2 weeks.
Let's see here.
And it's close. It's really close.
And something that Tavo said. He says there was no Plymouth there. It's already scrolled by, but that's okay. I know what he said. He says it's officially Valiant by Chrysler.
Yeah. Well, the
okay.
badging is different because it's overseas. Mexican Spec tells us about
I
things
have
like
somebody.
that too.
I have somebody.
That
yapping
you
at me, I have
cannot
to.
mess with your stuff while we're on stream.
But I have to look at this.
Oh. My.
Okay, there. Okay, it's done. It's
I
somebody
see.
that I
I see.
I have to look at it.
You're,
Okay.
okay.
Oh,
I don't even keep my phone with me, people. Okay. Nobody wants to talk to me anyways, though. Okay.
okay. I'm sorry. I interrupted. So
Why didn't you put in the Ford floor shifter? I thought that the shifter from the Ford Ranger was a cable shift. It was not. It was a rod shifter to a
Oh.
Z-bar. So it was a thing like this. And if I had to refabricate a Z-bar, I decided I was just going to use the linkage from the column shift, which is what I'm doing, instead of cutting the floor shifter in. Because it would have been tough to make it fit. It would have looked out of place because they didn't have those. So, yeah, that's why we went with the column shift. And there is no like on the column, there's not going to be any little like indicator. You're just going to have to count. When you're all the way up, you're in park. And then you're normal.
well, and of course you
shift
can
pattern.
fix that at some
And the
point.
detent is in the transmission. So you can feel when it shifts and you can feel the clunk. That's how I drive my van. So that's how it's going to be until I find a suitable replacement steering column, and I'm not even going to spend a lot of time looking because I think it's going to be just fine. And I've been slowly recording the videos of the fabrication of all those linkages because I need a kickdown linkage and I need a Z-bar for the shift linkage and stuff like that. I've been making recordings as I'm fabricating, and that video will come out before too long. But it is really hard to like live stream that kind of work. So you don't see much of what I'm doing, but it is getting done. We've been spending late nights the last couple nights. Now that he's feeling better, and you got antibiotics to clear up the infection in your
I'm gonna
throat.
have to get up in a minute here.
Okay.
But I brought up a picture that Buddy Carfano sent in, and it happens to be Mexican Spec's picture, which is pretty funny.
Oh, it's a fuzzy picture.
Well, because Buddy Carfano just picked it up and sent it to me as a link, so I have to show it as a link instead of a picture. So it's lost all its quality. Maybe Mexican Spec send us the real one. Yeah, it was Buddy Carfano sent it. Buddy Carfano sent me about like 10 or 12 at least links to all these pictures, and that was the last one that he sent. Okay, so I'm going to take that one down because
38 Racing says, Kim, if you want, I have the console and shifter from a 76 Aspen that you can have. And the shifter would work. I could make the shifter work, but the console will absolutely not fit because that is for a bucket seats and my car has a bench. So it really won't work because the console makes it look nice. So just the shifter linkage. And I'm going to have the on the column thing working here in another day.
But thank you.
But yes, thank you very much for the offer.
I need to be excused for a minute. You're in charge.
He's going to go and hack up a lung.
No, I'm not. I'm gonna take some medication.
Oh, it's time. He must have forgot to take his antibiotic. He had it. Okay. Buddy Carfano says Santa Claus will have his elves finish the dart for you. I wish, because the dart is not going to finish itself. I'm doing so good. I actually have all the kickdown linkage from gas pedal all the way to through the carburetor down to the transmission. It all works. It might need a minor like length adjustment, but the adjustment is there. I can just screw it in and out to adjust. Kickdown is done, which is sometimes a very difficult.
I've seen it. It all looks really
and
good.
It works. And then the shift, I have the Z-bar mounted on the transmission and the body. And then I have the linkage that goes from the transmission to the Z-bar. So I just need to fabricate a linkage from the column to the Z-bar. That's it. And then all that stuff with the auto swap, because I went from, if you didn't know, I went from a 3-on-a-tree manual to an automatic with the engine swap because Snowball, because you have to make it more complicated than it was. But when we inspected the flywheel and clutch and the amount of wear that is on that 3-speed, it was apparent that it was like, it howls really good on the highway. And then, so I dropped the pan on this automatic that I got with the motor that I was rebuilding. And it was excellent. I mean, beautiful. The fluid was nice and pink. It smelled sweet still. It just wasn't worn out. And it was like, why would I put this worn out kind of stuff?
I'm going to grab your mouse and start
Go ahead.
doing stuff.
Why would I put this worn out stuff back in?
Here.
I'm sorry.
Okay, there. I just got my chat back.
All right. Well, you left.
You paused the chat and then everybody's
Yes, sir. We are back.
Everybody's talking and I can't see anything.
Dumpster retracted. B&M shifter, big chrome one, Kim. No, that'll look silly. It's just a dart. It's going to be just a driver. I want it to look sort of, I want to look like an old lady car, but a nice old lady
See what Tavo says.
Grocery getter. What does Tavo say?
Keep the manual column with the adapted linkage as you're doing and leave the clutch pedal with a spring just to confuse people.
I will.
I told her, what are you going to do with the clutch? And she goes, I'm going to set that up to lock the front brakes. And then all I got to do is slip my foot off the clutch and the car will take off.
Don't give away my secret. That's my burnout pedal.
Okay. No 67 GTO Firebird 2. I don't know. We had a lot. Send pictures if you got them. Okay, Mexican Spec has a list of cars that were all the 67s he owned. Really good stuff.
Wow, that's a lot of
You had a
67s.
67 Cougar too. Yeah, I did. Oh man, I didn't show my Cougar. I could go show my Cougar.
KJ Kylie, I may do a reverse manual valve body on an upcoming engine transmission build because I have a 318 that is a LA 318 that is on the engine stand right now that is ready to build. It's going to be a stock build. The transmission, I now have collected all the parts to rebuild the 904 transmission that will be mated to that, but it might get a reverse manual valve body. And then I have a Magnum 360 that will be mated to a 727 transmission, and it might get some kind of special valve body. But those are for future builds that we have not fully formed yet, and they are for future budgets that we have not earned yet. So, the Slant 6 is a mild enough car that we're just going to go with stock, but
There's my 67
there's
Cougar.
his 67.
And that's me in 19 probably 78 or 79, if you can believe that. Let's see here, and let's see if I can. Let's see which way I can go with this. Yeah, that's a guy named Paul, and that's the Cougar with the small block Chevy in it. And let's see if.
Wow.
Nope, that's the wrong direction.
That's not your
I
car.
went the wrong way. Okay, there's that one, that one. That's just another picture of the same thing. That's in front of my first radiator shop. Oh yeah, there's a small block Chevy I had.
What is that cross ram called?
That is an Edelbrock XC8. It's a cross ram. Those are Holley's 650 double pumpers, which is too much.
That must scream.
Oh God! Coming off idle, it was real easy to flood it and foul the spark plugs. But if you did it right, and then it had 556 gears in rear end, so that thing just
556.
and it had a reversed valve body turbo 400. So
how did you
it's
keep
just
tires on it?
it didn't matter what gear you're in, it just burned rubber. Yeah. Then my best friend at the time had a like a 71 or 2 Gremlin with a 429 Ford and a tunnel ram. And he had real low gears too. I think he had 556s as well. And we get next to each other and race each other. We just make smoke and noise, and it's crazy. We were like the two idiots
We're
in town.
in Top Chat. If we've missed your chat, please forgive us. I was in Top Chat for some reason.
I don't know.
If you're watching a live stream, you always want to be in live chat, not Top Chat, because the algorithm will kind of decide which chats to put up. So please pardon us. If we're missing chats, we are, because you guys are here and you're engaged and we love it. We appreciate it. But I'm sorry if we don't follow every comment. We're trying.
We're trying. Yep.
Yep. But we have to still make it fun and sustainable. Reading off of a screen for 3 hours straight is exhausting.
Don't tell Drag Boss you put a small block Chevy in a 67.
I never
Cougar.
understood he likes putting Chevys in everything.
Now, you know what it was? I had a 365 horse 327 and tore it down and built it, and it was just a nice engine. And the Cougar, always a girlfriend. It had a 289 C4 automatic, just a nice driving car. And I let her use it, and she was using it one time, and the oil pressure sending unit started leaking. It pissed all the oil out on the ground, and of course the red light came on because it didn't have any oil pressure. And she was about, I don't know, 10, 12 miles from home, so she drove it to her house with red light on, with no oil pressure. Well, that destroyed the 289. Never ran again. So I had this engine. I thought, why not? So I did it. I don't know. It was a lot of work.
There's Rich and Gearhead are saying they don't agree with cross engines in cars. Well, we pray for forgiveness of our sins, but hot rodding, you know what I mean? You use what you have and you have a good time.
B&R Racing nailed it. It was a Corvette 365 horse 327 from 1965. And there was a 375 horse that was an injected engine. But
And when you got this motor and this body, and you know how to put them together, I mean, that's fun.
I've done other cross.
You had a great time with it.
Oh God, I had a good time.
If you
with
don't
that.
like it, then stay pure.
And I wish I had a picture of the car like from back a little bit. And I traded that car for it was going to be 2 cars in a boat, but my wife at the time hated the guy.
2 cars in a boat.
My wife at the time didn't like the guy, and she didn't want me
I'm
to have
on a
his
boat,
boat.
man.
So I got 2 cars and a bunch of money. And he got that. In fact, the guy that got it was the guy that had the Gremlin with the 429 in it.
Rich doesn't agree with it. Everyone is putting LS's in everything. I mean, there is a time and a place. A restoration is different than a resto mod or a there's some people that really, really dislike that, like those frame swaps. You see a lot of, they take the antique car and they just cut the bottom off of it and put it on, the drivetrain from some modern car. And I mean, there's a time and a place for it. Sometimes a car is completely wasted and it would not ever get restored. It's just not going to happen. It would get crushed unless it had a modern drivetrain. So in some cases, it's saving cars that would not be otherwise worked on. I don't know.
What did I do here?
There's a time and a place.
We
We all do what we can. We enjoy hot rodding in our own sort of way.
Okay.
And
but this one we didn't say anything about. This is a Beaumont, which is like a
Beaumont convertible.
It's a Canadian Chevelle, basically. Okay, let's see here. 67 Cougars were built with 427 Ford. I'm not sure I've ever seen one of those. I know they had a lot of them had 390s in them, which is the same dimensions, and they are packed in there in the real flat exhaust manifold. And there's no room for headers. But I had a friend that has 67 Mustang GT with 390 and C6, and yeah, that was a fun car. Even with the restrictive exhaust, it was a fun car. Isn't that a Stag back there with a white car? I'm not sure which picture
The picture of your car, there's a white car beside it. The one with you standing beside your car, there's a white car. If you can bring that back up. I think we established that it was a Spitfire in the past. You knew which car it was when you saw it.
I gotta clear some of this.
Okay.
Because
I'm gonna look through some of these.
Stuff up. Got way too many pictures stacked up. They're all open. What is that thing? Is that a Spitfire? Hardtop Spitfire? What did they call that thing? I don't know. That was a customer's car in front of my radiator shop. That was a customer's car in front of the radiator shop, so I have no idea what it was. I was doing some work on it, I guess.
Can you tell from the taillights? They look like later Spitfire taillights.
Could have been.
Like 73 through 75 or something like that.
That picture was probably taken in 79. So, who knows? It was in there for something.
It's got the rails on the tops of the fenders. I don't know. I'm not. I saw it from the front. I might be able to tell you.
Let's see. Todd Swift says Ford FE are a potent V8. You see the FEs, like when I was first had my license, the FEs we called them big blocks because that was the big Ford engine, and none of us poor kids in high school couldn't afford FEs, so we bought cars. All the cars we bought were Y blocks, but then as people wrecked those cars, we were able to buy some 390s, and then we bore them. And of course, we were getting a little older, had good jobs, so we got bore them 80,000s and put 406 pistons in them, and then it was a 406-inch engine, and so we built some of those engines for our own, like 57 Fords that never had FEs in them, and ours did, and yeah, they were fun cars. I had one with I had a couple of FEs with the 3.2 barrel carburetors on, but they're all gone now. Of course, they had gone 45 years ago. Uh, yeah, Tavo says it's a late model Spitfire. I got to do some. I got to do some research on the Spitfire because it's got independent suspension in the back and it's a swing arm, and I need to defeat that somehow because that aluminum car is going to be so light. Those back axles are going to be way down like this, and I need them straight out. And there's some kind of a thing called a camber compensator, and I don't remember how that works, but I'm going to have to look into that, figure it out, and make that so we don't have a car that flips over and looks stupid. Buick had a powerful full-size car engine 6070, believes it's a 425. Yeah, Buick. You know who really knows Buicks is on Wednesday, like tomorrow night. The AHRA. Well, I don't think, did they have a live stream this week? I think they do. I think it's Christmas. It's Christmas that they're not having it.
No.
But AHRA has a live on Wednesday night, same time as we are right now, but tomorrow night. And Dallas Brown heads up that, and he's a Buick guy. So he knows everything about Buick engines.
He knows a lot about Buicks. That's his specialty.
Yep. So yeah, we never stream on top of theirs because I don't ever miss their stream. It's that good. Arrows are impossible to find these days. Arrows like
Plymouth Arrows.
Plymouth Arrows. Yeah, I like Plymouth Arrows.
Mexican Beck was talking about them.
I had one of those in Hawaii for a while. And
every once in a while, I see one come up, but they don't sit on Marketplace.
Mine had the small engine. It had, I think it was a 1600 Plymouth Arrow, but in an automatic, it was just a driver. Let's see, Stag's got that kind of target top looking roll bar thing going on. Man, I remember the Stag, but yeah, they were a bigger car, I think. The FEs are Ford Edsel designation. Yep. And the MELs are Mercury Edsel Lincoln. It's kind of weird. The first year of Edsel, they had MEL engines, one MEL engine available and one FE available. And then from 59 on, there was no more of those MELs available in the Edsels. They were all FEs or six cylinders. Edsel really changed in 59, although they call it the horse collar grill. Nobody then called it the horse collar grill. That isn't until just the last few years. Back then, everybody called it the toilet seat. But now, I guess you're not supposed to say toilet seat, but that's what everybody called it, was the toilet seat. So, the 59 had that same nose, but man, a completely different car. I don't know about completely different, but it was very, very much like the Ford and not so much like the Edsel. Everyone takes FE meaning iron block. I don't know. I've never heard that, but I guess you could make that assumption that FE is iron. Steve Morris is present, dabbling with late model Gen 3 Mopar Hemi, 93 octane, twin turbo, 2,545 horsepower. Yeah.
2,500 horsepower.
Good.
I mean, it's interesting that you can make that. But what is the purpose?
I like watching Steve Morris sometimes because he's dyno guy.
Yeah, it's great to watch him do that. But I would never even want to do that. If I had the money and energy and time,
we can't do any of that. I mean, we're on a budget.
Well, if that was our goal, if that was the only thing that we cared about in life, we would do that. But that's not.
How many cars have I owned?
Oh, geez.
75, maybe something like that.
We don't have time.
I lost count. I had a list. I lost the list. It was on paper back in paper days. So then I have one on a computer that's a file that I haven't added to it lately. I need to go bring that thing up to date. I don't know. I guess 75 cars. It's not all that many for somebody that really likes cars.
And right now on the property, did we count 15? It doesn't seem possible that there's 15 vehicles sitting here. There's a ridiculous amount of vehicles. But
I understand what FE is on the
periodic
table.
1, 2, 3, the white truck, the blue truck, the burnt fire,
The Lost Fire.
the lost fire, those are parts vehicles. They're never intended to become projects that we try and revive. The uh the 300 is a parts vehicle, so there's four of them are parts vehicles. Um your van is a legacy vehicle. It's just here. You can't sell it for anything because the mileage is so high, but you know it's a good vehicle if we need it.
What's that? Oh, the van?
Your white van, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My
Okay, where did
van
that
I
go?
use a lot.
I just brought a picture
The
up. and I
green
don't know
truck
where
is
it
a
went.
replacement for my van because I didn't think my van
there
would
it
have
is.
lasted this long.
I think this is Dougster sent this. He didn't put his name on it.
Cool.
But-
That's a nice looking convertible. No, Dougster wouldn't have sent this because Dougster doesn't like convertibles. That is a sweet car though. But I would rather have it in a
Look at that.
non-convertible. The Commando engine. That is phenomenal. It's a nice looking restoration too. Pristine.
Oh, Barrows showed up. Hey,
Welcome to the stream, Barrow's Garage.
how are you doing? He's been, he's had some health issues and he's been struggling with it, and it's good to see you back. I think that's right. Rose Staten Tramp Stags are cool with a Rover 4.6 liter in them. Is that what those Rover engines were? It was 4.6.
Whoa!
That's
That's a lot of engine in a
Well, it's-
little car.
It's the aluminum Buick Olds, whichever one it was. Buick, I think. They had different heads on them. Lot Burns. Wow, haven't seen you in a while.
Welcome to the stream.
Yeah. Just sent. Oh, Charger. Okay, so now I've got more to look at here. Bob Burns is a nice guy that I got my my 318 Poly from.
So,
I got nothing from
And
him. What's going on?
just
What's going on?
to reiterate, our plans right now are to stream our regular stream on Christmas Eve, which would be Tuesday night at the regular time, and kind of do our regular thing. Christmas is not like we don't have children here or anything like that, so it's not really that kind of holiday for us. We will be festive, and we will try and have a lot of fun with it, and hopefully some people who are not doing things with family will stop in and still enjoy the stream with us. We're going to do it for us and for you, because we enjoy our routine. You know what I mean? We could take a holiday off, and some people are, but that we don't really want to take it off. We want to continue to do what we like to do. The same thing for New Year's. Is Tuesday night New Year's Eve?
Yes, it is.
Boy, we might even stream right up till.
Oh yeah, New Year's.
And a lot of people,
that'd be fun.
a lot of people will be doing other things. They'll be distracted, and that's okay. And we don't expect anybody to sit here for the whole stream and stay engaged. Like if you have other things to do, then that's okay. We're not upset. That's cool. We're here to enjoy ourselves and interact with you. So in whatever capacity that works for you, then thank you. Thank you for being here and supporting us in whatever way you can. The bronze color looks like the original color of my 68 Coronet, says JG Mopar.
Oh, dude. Barrows says no health issues. I drove my rat rod to a fabrication shop interview, and
He got
hired me.
He got a job. Why did you think he was having health issues?
I don't know. I thought he had a health issue. I don't know.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that you're not having any
me
health
too.
issues, because I didn't know that you did, and he told me just now while he told the stream, and it turns out that was fictional, and I'm glad that it's not true.
Lot Burns said he sent me a picture.
Okay.
I don't have a picture. I don't know where he sent it.
We didn't get it yet, Lot Burns. We'll try and find it.
It's I'm waiting, and it's not appearing.
Tim 72 Demon said that was his 67 GTX.
Okay.
He was away,
now
so
it makes sense. Okay.
Sometimes you get confused if they
'Cause what
don't
happens
put the
is-
name and
So what happens is
Go ahead.
you have email addresses with names that don't match your screen name, and then I have to take a swift guess. And and then I didn't read Okay, now I got it. It says Tim 67. Okay, I'm sorry. I got that wrong.
Yeah,
Oh,
congratulations on the new
there it
job,
is.
Barrows. Will they let you record anything for YouTube? You're a celebrity. Maybe you can show some of the stuff that they're working on or you're working on. It
Um,
could be good for everybody, you know? I don't know. Hopefully it's working out and you're happy. That's all that matters.
okay.
One-Eyed Cat says, "We'll see how it goes. We'll probably maybe be here." That'd be great.
Lot Burns says he sent it on email. I don't have an email come in. Lot Burns and I did business like years ago before I had this email address. He may have sent it to
Oh,
one of my
other emails.
email
Yeah,
addresses
yeah.
from the
The one
past
that we use here
that I
is
don't have. I don't have it right in front of me here. So maybe you can resend to this one. And
Buff Del Campo, the name of the channel, at gmail.com. Will get you to us that we can see on the stream. If you send it any other
oh,
email,
it just. Oh, wait a minute. Nope, that's Mexican Spec. Just sent an email.
oh,
Why
a
didn't it?
Valiant
Why didn't it?
Volare.
Okay, this one.
That is a sweet GTX, and you could see somebody put a lot of time into the restoration. I have truly, truly grown to understand the thing about restorations is they take years, sometimes decades. People take the cars all the way apart, and every nook and cranny, nut and bolt is refurbished to like new, which in the end result, if it gets done, is amazing. But man, you better be careful or it'll just sit as a basket case till the
Okay,
end.
this
That
one.
looks identical to the car that I used to race. No, that's not true.
That's the Mexican Spec sent that.
The front end looks like the car I used to race. The window, the back window, the little side window, opera window thing was not that shape on mine.
This is probably a Mexican car.
Yeah.
Mexican
And it's called
production.
a Valiant, but mine was a Dodge Aspen.
Yeah, I see.
This one looks more well
That looks like
appointed.
something you have available right now. Look at that.
I had a lot of fun with that car. It was not the most amazing car, but it was mine.
See, it says Valari on the back.
And I was out there and I was having a great time with it. It was truly, truly a fun car to hot rod in. I took it to Indy. I was drag racing with big name people, and they were looking at me like, "What the hell are you doing?" But I had fun, and that's all that mattered to me. I have great memories of driving that car around. It had a slant six engine in it. The floorboards right there, the big hump in the floor there, because I was struggling getting engines in and out all the time in my driveway. I have pictures. I made like a wooden gantry so I could yank the engines in and out of cars on my sloped driveway. Um, I used a hole saw and I drilled holes so I could get to the bell housing bolts on the transmission at that time. That car was it was raced out street car. And in Pennsylvania, it's very difficult to get inspection stickers on a car that's modified. I was able to get it through inspection, and it was a lot of finagling to get it through. And I had a great time at great expense, and I could not maintain it. I had to sell the car eventually because I was busy working and I was involved with family, and there were just too many other things going on. So, but I have really great memories of it. And I know a lot of you too have memories of cars past that you just couldn't keep, that you loved, or maybe they, you know, just got, you enjoyed them until they were worn out and had to replace them, and you wish that you would have instead reinvested.
Dizzy Izzy says, "Good evening. Good evening, folks. Good
Welcome to the
evening."
stream, Dizzy Izzy.
And then Mexican Spec says, since Plymouth was not sold in Mexico, they named the base model Valiant Volare.
Yeah.
It says Valiant on the grill. Okay, yeah, because we saw Valiant on the grill and then Volare on the back, and I didn't understand that. But now we understand it. Oh, this car is a Volare dashboard, not a Diplomat dashboard. Yeah, I like the Volare dashboards, actually.
Bear Rose says those Velares are the disc brakes I use to convert Ford straight axles to front disc with GM calipers. Bear Rose, a lot of those cars get sacrificed just for the front spindles.
Really?
They do. Which is wild. I see one on Marketplace right now, and I think about buying it. It's cheap, and it would kill me to cut it up. So then I would want to restore it, and we already have too many cars. But man, just the spindles.
So he sold this car. So he says now he's got to go get it. I have to drive this car for 12 hours to get home and then another 12 hours to the border. So where is it? Like way down south somewhere. It's somewhere, man. That's a lot of driving.
They're an easy car to drive if it's running well.
Yeah, but that's a lot of driving.
That's a lot of driving, yeah.
I mean, he made a sale, but
they're
now
nice.
there's some
They're
expense
nice
to it.
and cushy. They're not the same as an A body. They have instead of the torsion bars coming from the center of the car forward, they go crossed, and almost like a Volkswagen, which is weird. They're not in tubes. Anyways, they drive nice and cushy. You'll enjoy it on the highway. I don't know, what motor does that have? Did he say? It might have a 318. Know your limits, Kim. It's in Guadalajara. It's a slant 6.3 on the tree. No, I can see right there. It's an automatic.
Yeah, it says Prindle on there. Prindle 2-1.
Maybe it is a 3 on the tree. It just has the indicator.
Oh, and the indicators there, but it's a 3 on the tree.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. I just thought I looked at the floor. See, when I looked at the floor, I thought it had a clutch pedal, but I wasn't.
You know what? It did. It
like
does
half.
have a clutch pedal. That's weird. It's like some kind of a
Hybrid.
conglomeration. I mean, it's a very old car. Who knows who did what to it over the years. It won't be bad. Mexican spec. Hopefully. I hope you don't have trouble with it. If you do have trouble with it, they're very simple engines.
Oh, he
Be
knows about
careful.
slant sixes. He has slant
Be
sixes himself.
careful. That's a long way to go. Man.
He has
No
slant
wonder.
sixes.
I mean, there's a lot of expense involved in moving a car that far. From Guadalajara to somewhere in the United States, somewhere on the border. Whew, that's a big job.
Oh, he didn't. He says, I didn't say it would be bad. No, it's just a long trip. 12 hours is a pretty good run. I can drive 12 hours. Kim's wiped out before that. But I can go 12 hours on the road
I can't.
pretty nicely.
3.
Yeah. When we got back here, we made it to eastern Arkansas and drove to here, which is at like 300 miles, and she was whooped. And I
can do that one day. I cannot do that 2 days in a
I
row.
told her when we got here I could go all the way to the East Coast right now. I was feeling really good.
Yeah.
I was enjoying it.
It felt really good to be home, I'll tell you that.
And that car was driving, so we fixed a bunch of little stuff on the way, and it was driving really nice. So, it was comfortable to drive, and I could have kept going.
Dr. Go said he had a car, but he only had only was able to have it for 6 months. It was a 76 Grand Prix with a 400 and a solid moonroof. But he had other priorities with his house and kids. In 1986, I had to go. And if you've never experienced that, let me tell you, it's rough. But we all know what we need to do, right? We got to take care of family comes first. And the people in our lives are way more important than cars. But cars, we have great memories. They can't take that away from us. It's the memories. And yeah, that's what we're enjoying now is some memories. Remember the good memories. You enjoyed that car, and you were able to sell it.
One of our Tennessee neighbors just showed up.
Who is that?
Dr. Art, how you doing?
Welcome to the stream, Dr. Art. I have not been in your Monday stream as often as I would like. I apologize. I hope things are going well for you.
Okay, this gets on to another subject.
I've seen several people mention that you're working on computers for them. I see your reach has been extended throughout the community. Everybody knows if they need computers programmed to talk to you.
Kim got a sore throat. 2 days later, I had sore throat. And then she slowly got better. It knocked her silly, but
knocked me out.
But then Mine got, my eyes got all gooped up and nasal problems and the sore throat. It was bad. And it cleared up except for the sore throat. And the sore throat kept going on and on and on and started getting worse. So I finally went to the doctor, got some antibiotics. They said I had a secondary, uh, some kind of an infection. So they gave me some amoxicillin. I'm 2 days in the amoxicillin and the throat's feeling really good. So I guess they were right. It, but so 2 weeks of being sick really messed up our watching streams and streaming. So we should be back to normal now and attending the streams that we normally attend and streaming from the shop again, which we kind of back to that. So
Yeah, and I've been getting a lot, even when we're not streaming, I'm out there tinkering. Things are coming together. The car is, a great deal of the car is assembled. I'm almost done. So, I still have weeks of work. It's going to be done before New Year's. You know what? We're gonna get the first start done before New Year's. I pledge to you that it will happen.
wow, dizzy as he said, I love long distance drive. Drove up to Don English in Pennsylvania in 17 hours.
Woo,
Wow, you
man!
must have come right through here, or probably close to here. You probably went up through Nashville, which
Barrow
isn't
says
too far.
my godfather had an automatic 66 Caprice, had two brake pedals. The clutch only did the front. The brake did all four like a tractor. Old school line lock. And you know what?
That's what you were talking
We
about.
talked about it earlier in the stream, is I would like to do that the clutch pedal, because I'm switching from a 3 on a tree to an automatic transmission, and I would like the clutch pedal to be a trick pedal so that I can do burnouts, maybe. But I'm not going to do burnouts because I don't need to. But if we go to Mexico, if we're in Mexico, I could probably do burnouts. We'll just see if the car ends up in Mexico by sheer.
Kim, ever race at Keystone Raceway Park in
Yes,
New Alexandria? So you have.
absolutely. That was where we had the Pittsburgh Chrysler Classic, and
And
I did those events. I was central to those events for about 3 to 4 years for the Slant Six Racing and the Slant Six Racing News for several years.
Grampito
I
Vic says, hello, everyone. And then, I don't know what happened to Lot Burns and the did you catch if you're still in here, did you catch the link that Kim put up? Because I still don't have that email. And I don't have a way to get at the other emails from here.
Mexican Spec has said that he always he bought a lot of cars that other people didn't like, so he never really could sell them. Like most of the vehicles that we have right now, I don't know who would want to buy them from me. I almost feel bad giving them to somebody who doesn't know how to work on vehicles because they need stuff. The only vehicle that we had that had value as it was without anything funny was that green Chevy. Was it a Sonic?
It was a Sonic.
I sold that.
It was a
It was
bright green, glowing green Sonic, and
it was
and
a
it
pretty
sat
little
out here for
car.
months. And then she decided to sell it, and we delivered it to the guy. He came over and paid for it, and it had a transmission cooler leak or something. We fixed that,
Fix that.
and then we delivered it, and I drove it over there, and it was like, wow, what a nice car. Why'd we have this sitting here?
It was
You know,
too much money for it to sit in the yard.
it was really a
I
nice,
had to sell it. It was the only thing that I had of any
really nice
value.
car.
So I sold it. We had a lot of things that we needed to get done. I built the shed here, and I got the skid loader that we needed to get some work done here. And we did get a bunch of work done last year, and we were much more prepared to work on cars and make content. I bought some cameras, got the studios set up. A lot came of it, and I feel good about it, although I don't know that it's going to turn into like revenue, but like it makes it so that we can work and do our thing. It's arts and crafts, people. You know, it's a salvage operation. But in order to salvage, you need equipment and you need resources. And so sometimes you have to bite the bullet and let go of the thing that has the most value in your life so that you can work towards more gooder things.
And
It would get stale if we never changed it up.
JG Mopar just sent this.
That is a pretty car.
68, you can tell by the side marker lights.
I'm sorry. I feel like I'm almost preaching.
Why? I don't know.
I have been preaching. La 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 la. Shut up, Kim. Show us the cars from 1967.
Well, and cars that people have. I don't care if they're 67 or not. I mean, that's kind of the thing tonight is if you got extra pictures to send, 67. Buddy Car Final sent me a bunch more, but I haven't gotten to them yet. I need to take a break for a couple minutes.
Okay.
You wanna hold down the fort?
I can hold down the fort. I'll read some chats and we will talk. There's a lot going on there, so I'll try and even get caught up.
Okay.
Let's see. B&R Racing was talking about Lincolns. I'm going to start there. Mexican Sex says, I drove a 1978 Lincoln Continental from Vegas to LA and back. It was such a nice ride. Yeah, a Lincoln is a luxury car. I hope this car has the female part of the seatbelt, the buckle. Yeah, I hope they work for you, Mexican Spec. I've had a couple cars where they didn't work at all or somebody cut them off. Oh, it's unpleasant. When you're used to having a seatbelt and it's not there, you kind of feel like you're like hung out there for a little bit. I like having a seatbelt in a car. Just very used to it. It makes me feel secure. Grand Pito Vic said I had a 79 Lincoln Continental Mark IV. Bill Blass, great car. Sounds like it, yeah. Barrow says you weld a bar across to the other pedal, but you have to play with the spacing to get it to proportion the braking front to rear. I see. I haven't worked it out yet, Barrow's Garage, and my commitment to have the car running and maybe even drivable by the new year is more important than having the fancy burnout pedal. So I'm not going to focus on the fancy burnout pedal until that's a later. I do not commit to have the fancy burnout pedal done until maybe spring. Because what we're going to do is we're going to get that car running and then it's going out of the garage because the engine and transmission, all that stuff exploded in the garage, made it so that we couldn't work on anything else. So now we're getting everything that goes in that car. We'll get it running and then it's leaving so that Buff Del Campo's car can come in and we can work on it. And that is going to change up we're going to change from Mopar to Ford for temporary. We're going to have some Fox body focus. And I think it's going to be good for his channel, for him to be at the center, because I've been kind of taking over for a while. He can't get to work on his car because mine's in the way. So there has to be a stopping point. At some point, you just have to cut and say, this is where we end. Okay. But Bear Rose, I may be talking to you when we get there, so you can tell me more about how to make it work good. Mexican Spec said it has 78 Mark 6. On the same trip, the Continental was better riding than the Mark 5. It had a Twilight sequential, which I loved. Interesting. The old Lincoln's 345 had massive frames like nothing else ever made. Only comes close as a C4 Corvette. I didn't know a Corvette had a big, heavy frame. I guess it makes sense, though. Being fiberglass, it's got to have something to give it rigid. I bought it at an impound sale, and the front brakes were down to the fins. Very bad. It ran great, though. Yeah, people neglect things like brakes. Rooms. The bigger, the better for me. Big cars are okay. Depends on what your purpose is. Around town, I don't like a big car. It's hard to park and maneuver and stuff like that. That little green car is fantastic for little commuting. But it's tough because some of the other cars, SUVs and trucks and stuff around here are really big. So being in a little bitty car, it's kind of intimidating. So I do like having my truck or my van. But it's not always the best thing for every kind of driving. 38 Racing says those 70s Mark Lincolns made demo cars. Yeah, well, a lot of those cars, as they got rusty or a little worn out, people were like, that'll make a great demo car. And so instead of keeping them around, they used them up. I remember the frame on my 73 Mark IV. Middle was 8 inches deep and tall. C4 Corvette front section 11 inches deep, hidden under fiberglass. Wow, that's a lot of frame. Great car like driving my couch, says Graham Pedovic. You guys like the big cars, huh? We drove the carry-all back with no seat belts at all. It didn't have any from the factory. I mean, you get used to it, but I am a seatbelt. As a kid, you had to have a seatbelt. I remember as a little kid, we rolled around in the back seat, but there was a point at which it was like no longer acceptable, and then the people in the front seat had to wear it. There was laws in Pennsylvania that you had to wear your seatbelts. They would ticket you because it was the big thing. And then the people in the back seat, it was expected they were wearing seatbelts too. And I just got used to it. When I started driving, I always wore a seatbelt. So, and I don't know that I don't really have any opinion about it. Do they need to make a law to tell you to be safe? Why would you fight that? I don't know. There was a bunch of people who were anti-seatbelt, anti-motorcycle helmet. Like, I don't know. Is that the hill I care to die on? Mexican Spec questions me, what do you mean hard to park a big car, Kim? Almost every parking lot has those compact spaces. That is where I park. Yeah, you can just get two. I don't know. They make it depends on where you live. Parking spaces is a very general term, and some places there's lots of parking. Walmart has 3 times as much parking as they'd ever need. You can park on the outskirts and walk. It depends on what kind of mood you're in. The old Lincolns cruise at 100. Easy, Kim. Set the cruise, eventually fall asleep. The ride is so nice. It's like driving a big mattress, I guess. I've been in some big cars. They're nice to drive. They take the road. They take all the unevenness out of the road, and that is nice. 71 Lincoln Mark III is the car I can never own again. 146 mile per hour and a 55 will cost you 30 days in Madison County Jail. Hilton Jail. Barrows. Just do that in Mexico. I don't think there's anywhere where you're allowed to go that fast legally anymore. I don't know. Maybe that's good. The Lincoln will do it. Olive says I don't really find road couches particularly comfy. Bigger than a true compact for wheelbase is nice on the highway though. Yeah, bigger than a compact car. On the highway, when a truck goes by, you don't want to be doing this from the wind, and it is nice to have a big car in those situations. But then you're paying for the gas. You know, it's a trade-off between the ride and the gas. And back in the day, they'd put a ball under the bumper and you could tow stuff with you in them big cars. So if you had the family and you wanted to bring your pop-up camper or whatever, you could do that. You want to bring your boat, you could do that with those cars because they had the big car ride. Barrows, did you blame the car? Why are we driving so fast? The cop asks. Because I can, is the answer. 38 Racing asks, Barrows, did you frame that ticket? I'll bet while he was sitting in jail, he wasn't thinking about framing that ticket. Not in hindsight, though. Olive says, it's a macho thing, Kim. Yeah, well, the same thing with the big lifted trucks. It's mostly a macho thing, you know? It rarely is all that relevant to everyday sort of stuff. But you can. If you want to, you could go that fast. And if you wanted to, you could go in that deep of mud. If you wanted to. And that's sort of what macho's about. Is I got it. I can use it if I choose. Rich says my 57 didn't come with seatbelts. I got mine from Dearborn Classics for the kids. Safety is kind of nice. I don't know. I like the safety. I feel more secure in my vehicle when I am strapped in. But I don't know. JG Mopar says that parking in SoCal is not so friendly to big vehicles. Yeah, there's places where parking is limited, and then you want something, you know, a little Yugo, so you can just squeeze in any little spot. Olive says, I was a cornering nut with a bench seat. I strapped in from young ages. Yeah, that's the other thing, is when you're whipping around corners, sometimes you want to have that belt so you can lean into it so that there's something to stop you from sliding all the way into the passenger seat on a hard left turn. I don't know if that's really necessary, but I would love to make the Dart corner like a performance car someday. But first, we're going to get it running good, and then we'll worry about more gooder things in the past. Rich says, no, Mexican Spec says, yes, that was 57. This was a 1982 Ford pickup, no factory seatbelts. Yeah, in Mexico, they didn't care if you were safe. Tim's Demon says, when I was a kid, we used to lay on the shelf behind the back seat. Yeah, I would lay on the floor. I liked it because the transmission was really warm. And you could lay in the floor bin. My mom had an AMC Hornet, I think it was. It was a big 4-door car. I could lay in there. It was a nice warm spot next to the transmission, and the hum of the road just put you right to sleep. Mexican Sec grew up in San Fernando Valley, drove a 60s Cadillac Hearses, and never had a problem parking it, and nobody ever challenged me. Yeah, I think you can probably get away with. People see the size of your vehicle, and usually they're generally accommodating. It's not like you can make your vehicle smaller. As long as you make an effort, people, only the real ones are trouble. You know, they're out there being the parking police. Like, don't you have anything better to do with your day? With air shocks, it worked well. Yeah, you could tow. After having my nose broken 4 different times, last one crushed and then surgery 7 years later to break it all again to fix it, I wear my seatbelt because I don't want that pain again. Yeah, you only have to hit the windshield one time.
Where's Dr. Goes? I'm trying to see him. There he is. Oh, his little avatar thing there. That is the car.
Oh, that's the car that was in the really bad accident.
That's the
nearly
car.
Took a
He
swing.
rode through that crash.
38 Racing says the Lincoln I ran had title issues and had no future anyhow. Yeah, that's how you become derby cars, is you can't pay the note, and now it's just a pile of parts that isn't allowed to be registered. That happens a lot here in Tennessee.
Oh, you see cars without titles.
They get title loans, or they get them at buy here, pay here places, and then they can't pay, so they hide the car so they can't take it back, but they have no title so they can't sell it, and then something big breaks and they're like, I'm not going to invest money in an illegal car, and then the car sits someplace out hidden behind a shed
20 years.
Yeah, until the fuel gets stale and the tires dry rot flat and the brakes are all rusty, and then now you have a car that's great for demo derby. I mean, I don't know. It's the way it goes. I wouldn't do that, to my credit. But some people get in that situation. That's how it happens. Rather pay extra for gas. Small cars are not safe if you crash. Smaller cars are safer than they ever were. Like, they really do put a lot of effort into designing like crumple zones and like collapsible steering columns and airbags, and they're very disposable cars, but they do put a lot of, the cost involved in that, buying a safe, smaller car, but like the engines like go up under, they design the car to turn into a bubble around the passenger. It is amazing. But big cars, yeah.
When I was a teenager, I knew a guy that had a 50 Buick. I think it was a 50 Buick.
Yeah.
And of course, didn't have any seatbelts on his big, heavy turd. And the brakes didn't work very well on it. And he goes, don't worry. He goes, if you see we're going to hit something, he goes, just I'll yell. And he goes, everybody put your feet up on the dash and wait for the impact.
Kids.
Yeah, we were stupid kids.
The crazy ideas we had when we were kids, And now with experience, we know better. The other thing, though, is a big car. You might be safer just because you have presence on the road. I have seen people run little cars off the road.
Oh, look at these new trucks.
They just don't care. They might even see you, but they disregard you. They don't see. But if you're in a big car that has a presence, it actually is like it's a bubble of awareness. People cannot ignore you, and so they have to accommodate you better. So is it more safe? In a collision, it might not be as safe, but might be less likely to get in a collision. And that is a whole bunch of mind games to understand exactly how that. Okay, guys, I have been reading every comment, and I'll bet you I'm way behind.
You're way behind because Grampito Vic said goodnight like quite a while ago, and you haven't gotten to that point yet. So good night. Yeah, I don't know. Wait, maybe you can catch up now.
BNR Racing says old Mopars handle decent on a budget with good road shocks, Kim. Road racing caliber. Edelbrock used to sell them. Mopar Bob had Edelbrock shocks on his 1970 Road Runner. I will look into it in the future. The car handles okay, considering it's just a bunch of old parts that are supposed to be on there. But I mean, we've been under there. I just had
Well,
the
since
whole front
we
end
got back,
apart.
you just rebuilt the front end.
Yeah, I mean, that's why the engine replacement is taking so long. I did frame repairs, and I took the torsion bar out of the one side, put new bushings in and stuff like that. The car is going to go like factory, and then we'll go upgrades from there. And it will be getting better and better because it is not just an old car. I have touched on everything. Everything has been gone through at this point. And your car is the same way. If we just take... Okay, go ahead.
38 Racing says, I knew where the title was, and they knew where the car was, so, it wasn't like a stolen car.
Oh, well, there's that, too. Sometimes it's like, the title is lost. We could call in for a replacement, but it's going to cost this much money, and the car needs this work, and you're just like, let's demo it. Woohoo!
Oh, it says, guess we saw him run Buff's midsize car off the road, of course.
They did, but it was a very...
That guy intentionally ran into my left rear quarter at about a 60-degree angle at 70 plus miles an hour. And
that was insane.
He totaled his car hitting mine. He didn't hit
his car was
He didn't hit anything else. It tore a half shaft out of it.
I don't think I have pictures, but the half shaft was literally laying on the road 40 feet behind the car. The tire was laying on the road, completely separated from car, completely ripped off from that guy jamming his car into the back of his car. And then his car went up over into the wires. And
Mexican Spec says he pitted me.
Wow.
See, a pit is a gentle push to get you up. This guy
rammed him.
I mean, it wasn't like coming over here and bumping me. It was like turned almost 90 degrees and hit me as fast as he could run into me.
And he
to the
was
point where, when police cars do that, they don't total the police car. Sometimes they have a little damage. This totaled his car.
And at minimum, the guy was sleep deprived or maybe on some kind of drugs, and he was road raging.
The guy was a nutcase.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really tore up my car.
B&R says no GM car was actually safe in side collision accidents. I know the 70 Firebird, Trans Am, and Camaro got much larger doors with heavy internal crash beams welded in. Most cars that I have seen inside the doors after like 1970 had crash beams. I think that was something that was like mandated for them to have collision beams in the doors. Barrow says, very true, Kim. Modern vehicles have lots of blind spots. You can read his way of saying it. More blind spots than Helen Keller's bathroom. I guess that would be a lot of blind spots. In a 67, you can see everything around you at a glance, and you were lucky to get an AM radio, so you didn't get hit. I agree that the visibility in some older cars is really nice. Uh, there's the other thing is like the rake on the windshield, the way they deal with it in some of these cars, it's just downright stupid. I believe it was Ford, one of their models. They have little windows down in the dash and really wide, like the rollover protection. The pillars are real wide, and they give you blind spots right here, like in your peripheral vision. It's like I don't know where they came up. Somebody designed it in a wind tunnel, and then they tried to make it so you could see out, and the blind spots are real in some of those cars, and it's because the structural design does not really jive with good visibility, which that's just cheap car or poor car. Ugh. All GM prior to 1970 had no door crash
I
beams.
remember when the crash
Yeah,
beams came out. That was a
cars
big
were
deal.
lighter.
It was a big deal then.
Yeah.
Exec says the police cars have big push bumpers on there. Yeah, they do, and it's a nudge. It's not a. This was extreme. I mean, to hit somebody in the rear quarter like that hard
To wreck
enough.
your own car intentionally
Well,
just to push
and
somebody off the road is
it was a what the heck was that thing? It's a Chevy Equinox.
yeah.
It was a 2017 Equinox, and he hit me hard enough that, I mean, I'm sure it wrapped the radiator around the engine and chucked a drive shaft, or what you call it, half shaft out, and one wheel was laying in the ground. And the only thing he hit was me. I mean, that's an extreme collision. And of course, spun me around backwards, and I ended up in a chain barrier. Went backwards 70 miles an hour through, I don't know, the police report said 300 to 400 yards of chain barrier. That was quite a ride.
Something to see.
Sitting there
I
just
was not
watching
in the car. I was
and
behind in my car,
she
and I
watched
saw
it.
it, and I feared that he was dead because it was very violent crash. It was scary.
And there were witnesses that stopped, including Kim,
They saw it
and
too.
all the witnesses said the same thing. They all, it's pretty much that's what happened.
Yeah, we saw
And
it.
his insurance company,
Paid.
they just went. They wanted to know what happened. I told them, and then they the next words out of the guy's mouth was, "We're taking responsibility for this." At that point, I kept my mouth shut.
That Mazda was a really good car. It had a nice ride. It had some electrical problems. Aside from that, it had been an excellent vehicle for him.
It had
And
annoyances.
it protected him very well in an accident. I give it 10 out of 10 for crash safety because there was no he did really well. I thought he was going to get tore up. His neck was hurting, but that's pretty much
I felt
understandable.
fine. Got help getting out of the car because I couldn't get out of the car by myself. And then I started. My neck started making noise, like click, 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 like when you crack your neck. Only every way I moved my neck, it was making that noise. And several people there were suggesting I get in the ambulance and ride to the hospital, and I said, I probably should. And then Dr. Go and his wife, Mrs. Go, they're out in front of us a ways. And they turned around and came back and met me at the hospital. And Kim showed up at the hospital. They showed up at the hospital. And because of them, we were able Kim unloaded a lot of my car out there, but then the tow truck had to take it, so she couldn't take any more. But I had enough tools in there to fix just about anything at No Name Nationals. So they put a lot of that in Dr. Go's car. And he had new springs on the back of his car to haul load, so that helped. So yeah, it was quite a day. Been a couple of months already. TJ Carolina, squat your truck, you'll have a real blind spot. Yeah, off the nose. I drove by in the 454 truck leaving No Name Nationals in 24 on I-55 heading back to Illinois. I had no idea it was you buff. It wasn't on I-55. We were already over on I-24. We were in Kentucky and we were almost into Tennessee where it happened. Um, oh well, unless you'd moved over to I-24. So we moved over to I-24 and then headed south toward Tennessee, and that's where it happened. We were in we were just south of what the hell city was that? Kim, I don't remember. Some city in Kentucky. Paducah, Kentucky. Hola a todos. Danny Boyd's here. Barrows. Oh, I see. You're on the opposite side of me. Huh. Barrows, a cord of wood on a half-ton 63 Chevy truck is the closest to Carolina squat I've come. But I've unloaded. Yeah, because you overload a truck, it starts to look like that. But, I mean, you don't start there. Two Hacks Jeff sent me a video Kim made. It's like, wow, Buff. Man, I wish she'd gotten the whole wreck on. That was my first words to her. Did you get it on video? She said, nope. She goes, I wasn't driving down the road videoing. I was driving. Shop Cat Industries. I wouldn't kick that Dodge off the driveway for eating crackers. Yeah, that's pretty nice, isn't it? Oh, do I have any more? I haven't been checking my email. Do I have any more? No. Well, I have Buddy Carfano sent a bunch of links. I guess I can start putting those up. Might have been I-24. Yeah, it was I-24, all right.
How are we doing?
It was about 2 miles south of Paducah, Kentucky.
How are we doing with going through viewer photos?
I just said I'm not getting any more photos, but Buddy Carfano
Have we been through most people's?
I still have links that he sent. So
there's a nice car.
So I'll pull up his links.
You know what we haven't talked about? Usually
the links are a little tough though because I can't manipulate them. Only you can a little bit.
Yeah, when I'm away, you can't do it. That's a pretty car.
Yeah, 67 Camaro. I had one of those. My 67 had the headlight doors.
Those are really desirable. Wasn't that what DD Speed Shop was working on before it went back to 57 Chevys? Tri-5 Chevys?
Yeah, I think he had a first gen Camaro.
You got two? He got two.
May I have the paper towels, please? I got throat issues here.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make it. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep this to a minimum. I keep thinking my throat's 100%. It's not, but it's close.
All right. So I have a challenge to y'all. Go gentle because I can't keep up if y'all throw that stuff at me at once. But usually, and I'm really surprised, usually some people throw out some really obscure stuff. Or some factory photos. We haven't had any factory or dealership photos tonight for 1967. I enjoy that. It's one of the parts of these streams that, and it's also the part that I'm responsible for.
Buddy Carfano sent in this. It's a 67 427 Corvette, and you can tell it's 427 by the hood. And you can tell it's 67 by the louvers in the front fenders. So, yeah, that's the last year of the boat.
I prefer the louvers up high. I think it looks cool. I think the high shark louvers are cool.
Those are.
Dr. Go said, my Chrysler J-body turned into a half-ton pickup full of car stuff. Yeah, those leaf springs were our savior because we had a ton of supplies for the event in his car. And my car, we had put a different drive shaft in, and it was grinding in the tunnel. So
way too much stuff in the trunk.
Yeah, because I had so much stuff in the trunk from both cars. It was already a problem, but it was way worse. Every time I hit a bump, the drive shaft was like binding in the tunnel. So saved us. He said we were relieved only after weeks passed and you were getting better and getting the car things settled. Yeah, it was a stressful month and a half, 2 months.
Oh, it took 2 months before I had a car.
It was so
It
stress.
was
He
it
was
was one day
so
short
stressed.
of 2 months before I had a
I'm
car.
so glad things are more relieved. And honestly, I'm really looking forward to getting involved in some of the Fox Buddy stuff. This is going to be a cool car.
Yeah, I missed my late model car that everything sort of
Yeah.
worked right and 38 miles a gallon, all that. But I'm going to enjoy the Fox body, and I'm not on the road like I was. I used to
No.
be 3,000 miles all the time, all over the
And you're not
country.
going to be. If they try and tell you got to drive out to the other side of the country, I think we're going to maybe say no. I think you're done with that, babe.
Well, I don't know. It depends on what the situation is. If they say it's a week or 2 weeks and they pay me well, hell yeah, I'll do it. But if it's just open ended, I go there until they release me. No, because then I'll be there forever. And the
You know,
last time it was for 30 days and it ended up being 2 years. I could have said no anywhere along the line, but it would have been the wrong thing to do. So I ended up working 2 years. So here,
B&R Racing says we should probably organize in 2025, find out each way people are leaving Missouri, drive in several packs because it's safer. If you can, drive in groups, but
we were in a group.
it's tough. Everybody leaves the house to get there at a different time. People have jobs and, schedules to work around, and people have to be home at different times. But we try. And it's a
Well,
good idea to have a friend alongside on the road. I mean, I was his chase car, and it's a heck of a good thing I was there, or else he'd have been by himself wrecked. Like, wow.
Dr. Go was out ahead of us, so he didn't know what happened until, he didn't just jump on the phone and tell him. We were in the middle of the scramble. Kim was behind me. So, and then of course I'm sitting there backwards, all tangled up in a chain barrier. And after the dust settles, I look out and all I can see is like it was a real straight section of interstate. I can see about 2 miles of cars backed up, and it's like, oh, I hate it when that happens. I'm in one of those lines. Now here I am causing the line. Not that I personally caused it, but you know, that's why there's a line, is because I'm wrecking the road.
Barrow says the more I see the Camaro, the more I like the first generation Firebirds. JG Mopar says a friend of mine from high school had a dark green 67 Camaro. It was really nice. A high school friend. Man, he must have had good parents,
On
loving parents to give him a 67 Camaro in high school. Barrow
excuse
says,
me.
in my honest opinion, it was the last good looking vet 67. Okay.
I don't know.
Danny Boyd said turbine wheels too. Olive says I got these fancy progressive load springs for my Volvo from IPD, but haven't installed them because we got an actual truck. An actual truck is preferred, but they can make progressive load springs that still ride nice and add load, but they just don't install them from the factory because cheaper.
There's a stock 67 Cougar, except for the wheels, versus
Nice looking
mine
car.
that was
Modified.
something other than stock.
Danny Boyd says Futch wheels for Futch's sake. Bear Rose said the 1967 Firebird is the lightest. Also, that year it had optional one traction one traction bar on the right rear. Oddity. I'm going to
Well,
pull
they
up the
they, they
1967
staggered the
Firebird.
shock absorbers.
It's
They had
six-
single leaf springs and they staggered the shocks. I know that.
you know,
And the 67 Firebird was a half year car. It was not a full year car.
I'm pulling one up because I asked about obscure cars. So now
Okay.
now I got to do my job.
And you know how you can tell a 67 from a 68 very quickly.
How? You tell
The
me.
vent windows, the little vent windows up here.
Okay.
And of course side marker lights, but
What's
the
different?
well, the 68 doesn't have them.
Oh, they just have the full window instead
Yeah.
of the vents.
Yeah. I mean, that's the quickest way to tell. And then Mexican Spec always goes, well, yeah, with the side marker lights. Yeah, okay. Side marker lights too, but yeah, my son had a 68 Firebird that was here. He sold it. And I had a 67 Camaro and then a 69 Camaro. And of course, they were all gone long ago. Actually, that 68 Firebird, he only sold that thing about 4 or 5 years ago. It was here. That's before the price went way. We didn't know the price was going to go up like it did. I think he got $2,000 for that car. Now, probably worth 10 times that.
Yeah. Wow. You know what? Right now in the car market is soft in a way that it has not been for a very long time. There are project cars that people are just like, I'm never going to get around to this. And it's going to be way too expensive to have a mechanic work on. And people are giving up on certain kinds of projects in this economy. So,
Is there any reason why you're not letting the chat flow?
I don't know why it's not flowing.
Could you?
Dr. Go
You
reiterates that it is a good idea about the car, caravanning together. Please, if you are part of our No Name Nationals Car Club and you will be going to events and you see new people, like people who are in the No Name 500 trying to get their subs and they're new or they're just starting out, they're small channels or, they're welcome them in to the community if they are anywhere near your area. Invite them to events that you are going to in a personal way. Tell them like, hey, we're inviting people in. That is how you build good community, is you offer friendship,
Oh, being
like 38 Racing was offering me to help me get parts, and I know that he's doing it as a friend, not because he's desperately trying to sell those parts. And so, like, when we offer that friendship out, hopefully it pays back in dividends because we grow stronger as a community and it's better than just being a bunch of random people. When we have interactions, I just saw last week, who was it? JB's little shop, Lars, our friend up in RC Industries, the guy with Bad Grandpa, a whole bunch of people got together. Stephen Holtz, Stephen was there. They all met with trailers and they were exchanging parts and cars and stuff like that and just cracking jokes and stuff like that. That's amazing. That's what we want to see as a community when people can kind of come together.
Before it scrolls away,
Go ahead.
BNR Racing says 1970 F-Body, which is the Firebird Camaro, was the first year of staggered rear shocks. I didn't know that. I thought it came in earlier than that. Herb Adams did away with the need for factory slapper traction bars to hit 13s in the quarter.
Oh,
yeah, I thought they had the staggered before that, but maybe I was probably wrong. I remember it was about then that all that came about. In 1967, I was 13 years old, really into cars, but I had a bicycle with, I had to fix it up, and I had a paper out, and I worked at a bike shop, but I was paying attention to cars pretty good. Gigi Mopar says he likes 67 Firebirds and 68. Yeah, it's kind of weird. The 69 Firebird really looked different for a first gen. And I didn't really like the way it looked. In the 67 and 8, I really liked. And the Camaros, actually, I kind of liked all three of them. 67, 8, and 9. I had a 67, then I actually had a 69 first, then I had a 67. The 67 I got was a RSSS. Got a deal on it because the left front was crunched. And the night I got it, I fixed that fender and got the headlight door working and everything and painted it. Painted that fender, blended it. It came out really good. And the day after that, it had that black stripe that went around the nose. The next day, I did the black stripe, finished it. Car looked pretty good.
Mike says, I was helping a buddy with his 79 Trans Am tonight. It was trying to start on its own while he was at work. That is not good. When I was working on my Bronco 2, too many attempts to start. I think it cooked the start relay. And so it was like the starter was running even with the key off. I had to go out and disconnect the battery. So yeah, danger, something's wrong. This is bad.
Mike N's here. Hello. Heavens Mopar stopped in. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, he stopped. He saw me on Facebook, and
Oh,
he did not realize that we live stream on Tuesday nights. So thank you for coming in and supporting the
we
stream.
live stream
That's
just so
awesome.
everybody that's when people come, people go. So we talked about this earlier tonight. Uh, we stream 7 o'clock Central Time Tuesday nights, and we do the picture show with the cars and everything. Oh, and if you could bring that up, because Buddy Carfano brought that one up.
Yeah.
Uh, we do that, and then we kind of do impromptu lives in the shop, usually at 10 Central or thereabouts, and we go 2 or 3 hours. But if we're working up there in the shop in the evening, we just leave the stream on. I'll sit there and take care of the stream, and maybe Kim will come over. But
Sometimes we do dual
and
cameras.
sometimes, yeah,
I
do
point one at the car, and he one at him,
and
and
you get and we split the screen so you can see what she's doing, you can see what I'm doing.
yeah. But that's
It's
more technical. We're working on stuff.
but
This is
it's
just the
pretty
picture
cool
show.
because like last night you were working and we had dual cameras going and they could see what a lot of what you were doing and then I was sitting there talking.
Well, I think Friday night we had the camera on while I stuffed the new engine
Oh,
in the dart.
she put an engine in with dual cam, so the split screen, and so the engine went in. Then I got up and helped put the engine in, which it sounds like something really hard, but that goes pretty quickly.
Yeah, all the work to get the engine ready is where all the
Yeah.
time is. Just like dropping it in the car was
Well,
like
the hardest part about
done.
this was we put the engine and transmission in together. So it's one of these tip the transmission way down and make sure it gets in the tunnel. Took two of us to do that, but yeah, we did that with a split screen with on live. It's pretty cool. So we do 2 or 3 up in the shop impromptu live streams whenever we're there, and then Tuesday night we always do this.
So Scott from Heavens Mopar. If you do not know Heavens Mopar, he is out west in the northwest of the country, and he has been coming to our No Name National events without a car.
3 years.
Yeah, because it's a long way to travel, and it makes sense. But he has been at our events, and he's a fantastic guy. He this for this past year for 2024, he started the Stone Soup project, and the Stone Soup project was like a traveling project where each person did a little more on it, and that was a neat adventure. So
And it was there.
he has contributed a lot of uh, good content to the community and unity within the community. So you love
Where
to
is he?
see
He's
it.
Washington State?
I think he is, yes.
Washington State. So
And
he's been
he has a charger that he is trying to revive from nearly nothing. And he's done a lot of work on cars. He knows what he's doing, and his projects will move along.
he's a
So
guy that will piece a body together.
that's what he's trying to
Amazing,
do.
amazing
He
how to pieces and come up with a car.
It has been, he has gone through
Pretty good
many
stuff.
trials and tribulations while he's trying to get some of these cars put together. But yeah, check out his channel, give him a subscription if he earns your subscribe. He's part of the community if you have not met him yet. So we thank him for being here. And if anybody who is a moderator has a keyboard in front of them, maybe. Oh, Mexican Spec did that at Heavens Mopars. That'll get you to his YouTube channel. And if you follow that Stone Soup, it went through like 6 or 8 different guys who were all pretty
Well, it
cool.
also went to 38 Racing here.
Yeah, that's
went
right.
there.
38 Racing did a bunch of work.
He was one of the people that worked on it made its way across country with everybody working on it.
And it ended up with what, Functional Histories?
It ended up at No Name Nationals driving around.
Yeah, hey, they got it driving, but it was a
What was it? It was a 62 Dodge Lancer, I think.
Yeah.
It was a road toad. Pretty cool that they did that. This is KJ Kiley. Worked with a guy nicknamed Pontiac. You looked the old Pontiac, the old Pontiac hood ornament.
Dr. Ghost suggests we should do an unofficial No Name Nationalist community road trip to Volvo Barrows Garage.
Barrows.
Super
Chat. Oh, I don't have my thing here. See, in the shop, I have that 61 Studebaker nose piece hanging up there. What I've done is I've put lights that alternate flash in the turn signals, we get a super chat, I turn that on. It goes super chat and flashes like that. But that's not here. It's up there. God, all our good stuff's here except that. So, so
Thank you for your support,
super chat. Thank you.
Pharaoh's Garage. We really appreciate it. Although it's never expected. We don't want anybody to mess up their budget sending subscriptions or that kind of thing. We are trying to just live within our means. Although someday it would be nice if we got advertising revenue from YouTube, but that seems to be a very difficult road to hoe.
We get a little.
So I was reading a comment from Dr. Go about the suggestion that we go to Volo, Illinois. It's on his bucket list. There's cool stuff to see. Put up a link to their website of a car museum. I will have to see what that trip is like. That sounds like a good summer trip. I don't think we want to do it in the winter. It's probably, it's tough for us. But for the summer, maybe late spring, early summer, that would be something fun to do.
Mexispec's got an idea. You can
What's that, Mexispec?
Put a GIF of the Studebaker lights behind you on the green screen.
We need one.
Because the GIF will...
I can do that.
The GIF file will be like a little movie.
I can do that. We need to make that clip so we can play
put it. We're going to tear that body off that blue car out there.
Yeah.
Could hang that up here.
Well, we have the front of a Ranger as well.
Okay,
I think
we need got lots of fronts. I was going to ask Mexican Spec to put up a link to Heaven's Mopars.
He already did.
Oh, he did?
Yes,
I
he
missed
did.
it. Okay. I missed that. I'm sorry.
Thanks for being here, Scott. Scott and I have not always 100% got along, but hey, there can be discourse and still...
The first night I met Scott, it was in the first annual No Name Nationals, and you had your van up there, and we gave him a ride somewhere. He jumped in the van, and we took him because he was on foot.
You meet some really great people, and you're not always going to agree with everything, but we have cars in common, and I think that's a good place to start.
Scott was a participant without a car. And every year he's been there. And this year he intended to have a car, and he just, the guy works full time.
Life happens. It's
the guy
not
works
so
full
easy.
time, and when he builds, there it is, Heaven's Mopars. When he builds a car, he builds a car. You might have a floor pan and a roof and quarter panels, and it starts going together, And it's amazing seeing a car come together like that. Yeah, I still say GIF with a hard G, GIF. I don't know. I've always said GIF or GIF, so I don't know which it is. I guess it could be a hard G.
B&R Racing says the ignition switch needs to be replaced on that Trans Am. Faulty. Had it happened before to me. That does sound like something that there's like a spring loaded and the whole thing. If the tilt wheel equipped the brass or aluminum selector gear to ignition switch snaps. The 1-2 does the same. There you go. So the brass selector gear is stronger if you can find one. That is the premium part to find, and it apparently is worth having if you have one of those cars. And knowing those little tidbits of information is the stuff with years of practice and experience that you cannot, even with 100 YouTube videos, you may never find that tidbit of information. You find it years later. Someone tells you, and you're like, yeah.
Tommy Hamlin, here from Dublin, Ireland.
Welcome to the stream. We are global.
Mexican Spec says Jif is peanut butter.
Jif.
Mike Ken says it's peanut butter.
Oh, Jif is actually vegetable oil. Dyed brown vegetable oil with some peanuts added for texture. But
and see, I think it's a
peanut butter is something different.
And I think it's a file extension.
Yeah. Jif. I know. Snaps in half, Kim. Yeah, you start jamming gears, it snaps in half. All right, well, that's something to look out for. Now, we need to get back to cars because I have just been going on and on. What did I miss anything up here? Dr. Go, we should talk more about a date for that community trip to Illinois. Absolutely should. There's only so many weekends in a summer. So you have to plan early. Oh, that's a beautiful
And
Dodge
then
truck.
and then um buddy Carfano sent this.
Nice one, buddy. I like it.
These are the ones I used to say, the Dodge trucks, the ones with the big saucers around the headlights.
Yeah.
Because at the time I thought it looked ridiculous because the
It does look ridiculous.
headlights are this big. But now I've kind of gotten used to them. It's a good old truck, and it's like, yeah, so what?
I would love to have a truck like that. I mean, not enough to give a lot of money for it, but I mean, I think it's a really great character. It's really wonderful.
That imagine the room under the hood, and those have like big shelves above the like the inner fender wells, big steel shelves with ripples on them, and you can set all kinds of tools in there, and they don't fall into the engine compartment. I worked on a lot of those. It's pretty nice.
Mike N says peanut butter is peanut oil with peanut bits in it. I agree. It must be peanut oil and peanuts. If it is some other kind of oil, it's peanut food, like cheese food. It's not real peanut butter if the oil has been. They actually process the peanuts, squeeze the peanut oil out, use the peanut oil to cook chicken, and then they put cheaper oil in with the ground up peanut remains and call that peanut butter. But that's not what real peanut butter ought to be. Anyways, B&R Racing said some of the things GM did to save money, even back in the 1970s, makes me curse. Yes. Sometimes they make bad decisions to save money. That never ended. It continues to this day. Manufacturers make decisions to save money so they can bring products to market as cheaply as possible and make a maximum profit. Sometimes the decisions they make are real head scratchers or worse. Hands down, the easiest trucks to work on. Oh, yeah. The bug-eyed Dodges are just
Oh, and those things are tanks. I think the sheet metal is twice as thick.
magic.
I think the sheet metal is twice as thick as everything else. Those are beefy
Yeah, they're
trucks.
beefy trucks. They're a little heavy.
And this is a '67 Le Mans, sent in by Buddy Carfano.
Um, yeah, and it's a shame that cars can't be simplified. And like Uncle Tony's garage, Tony always he often says is it's not that he is a Mopar purist. He just really likes the engineering that Mopar was doing during that time period. And I highly agree. A minimum of electronics, a minimum of mechanical complexity, push rod engines, the tolerance can be a little bit out and things don't fail. You know, modern stuff is like if you don't get it perfect, it's going to fail. Like that Subaru. Man, I hate to beat on Subarus because they can be really nice cars, but I did nice work. I paid attention to detail and it just failed right away. I did one little thing wrong and it just wrecked it. It's like, well, dang, that's rough, man. Anyways,
So, what's
love the
on
old
says,
Mopars.
ooh, that car with the overhead cam Sprint 6 and 4-speed would be real cool. Man, I've told you about this before. I have a friend out in California when I had my radiator shops, and he just loved those overhead cam 6s. And he had an old Chevy 2 with an overhead cam 6 in it that he drove every day. Of course, he built it. And then when his kids went to school, like his daughter went to college, he got a 67 or 8, I don't remember which it was, Pontiac Firebird. Didn't need an engine, so he put an overhead cam 6 in that. That's what she drove to college. And then later he had some other car with, he had like a whole little fleet of overhead cam 6. I called him a year or so ago, and because I was picking his brain about him, he goes, the parts are getting hard to find. He goes, I sold all of them. Oh, because they're all gone.
1966 Pontiac, Buff.
Oh, I thought it was
1967 had the aluminum wire mesh grills.
I thought it was 67 because we're doing 67 tonight, but it's a 66.
Ah ha ha! Somebody caught. I've awarded
See,
you
Buddy
2 points.
Carfano.
B&R Racing for
Buddy
pointing out
Carfano
our
called it
mistake.
called it a 67 Le Mans. So
Sometimes you get them wrong.
I just read it.
Well, it says 67 on the.
Oh, it does.
You've been lied to. You cannot trust the internet. It's full of lies. Lies. Olive says, JG says, I like anything with a motor.
I
Hey,
like
I
them.
like working with motors.
I like when even they don't have motors because then I can use my imagination.
Olive says, I actually why I like Volvo since this is my first Volvo, just for how they arrange most things. Yeah, you know, I might really love Volvos, but there have never been, I've never had access to like I might have seen one Volvo available for sale in my price range, but there was three Mopars, four Chevys, a bunch of Fords, you
What's
know?
this? Where are you counting this?
I don't know, when I was a kid,
Oh,
working
okay.
on vehicles. Volvos didn't come up, not in my price range. So that's why I never developed an affinity because I just never had access. They might be fantastic vehicles to work on. I'm guessing that if Olive likes them, that they are. But price and availability sometimes play a major role in what people. And once you get used to working on a certain kind of vehicle, sometimes you just like that because it's familiar. I think a lot of my love for my Mopar is I got that 72 Dodge Dart, and it brings me mentally to a time in my life when I got that car and things were going well and I had lots of hopes and dreams about what I was going to do with it and the people who were in my life, and it was just like it's a time machine in some ways. And even though I'm just wrenching on an old car, it it just fits. It brings me to a place where I want to stay. Maybe that's a I don't know. I'm allowed to do that if I want. Artificial intelligence is dumb. I agree. It's not very smart.
Mike Evans.
It has smokers
No,
windows. The 79 TA was working on had an Olds 403, says Mike. Someone put an electric fuel pump in it. Not sure why they got rid of the mechanical pump. I don't know. Maybe they couldn't find one that was working. Maybe the cam lobe for the pump is is wasted. I think that's probably unlikely, but I mean it's possible.
Sorry, read what Heavens Mopars wrote.
Heaven Mopar. I have a bug-eyed 70 Dodge 700 cab over. I just traded a steel rollback bed for it to convert it into a ramp truck. Wow, that's a heck of a project. Now just need time for these projects. Told wife I'd fix up the house this year.
Yeah,
That is a lot of
I heard him
plans.
saying that he
Woo, that's a
gonna
lot
fix
to
up the
do.
house.
It's a
Yeah,
lot.
we need to fix up the
to
house, and
do.
we need to fix our cars, and
We have a lot.
I
Yeah.
don't know how do you do it all.
I mean, it's tough. I've dedicated so much time recently to my dart, and there's other things that are just not getting done. And there's a point where it's like, how do I do it all? I don't know. I don't know. I just keep plugging away at what we can. The one night last week we just stopped. We didn't do nothing else, and we did the dishes. Because we needed to do the dishes really bad. And we had just been like, I was getting to where I was taking dishes out of the sink, washing them so I could use them,
What's this
and then
here?
putting them back in the sink.
Well, see, we each kind of have our
He was
responsibilities.
sick, and I
We
usually
each kind of
don't.
have our responsibilities. And one of my responsibilities, I take responsibility for the dishes. And then I got sick. So I didn't do anything, and they started to pile up. So she did a few of them and helped a lot. So
Mexican Spec says, we all have to keep up with the Jamies. That's right. Do you know what he means by keeping up with the Jamies?
yeah, that's what's his name.
Yeah. What?
DTG's buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Rocket Restorations and
Well, he has
Dead Dodge Garage.
Dead Dodge Garage. He has so many vehicles.
So
and
many cool project vehicles.
I don't know how he's able to do all that.
I don't know either. If that's
he jumps from one to another to another. We got a lot of stuff, but we can't jump that much.
We've got a lot of junk. He's got a lot of cool projects. So it's tough to keep up with that. That is a standard.
I can't do that.
I mean, we just do what we want.
It's like one $30,000 car after another.
Woo! Oh, likely buying cheap replacement mechanical pumps and drove him crazy with problems. Yeah.
The Mexican Spec says, I do dishes every day. Maybe I'm weird. Nope. I do dishes every day.
Normally we do.
And what happened was I got sick. I got really sick. and I was just sleeping, trying to sleep off the sick, and the dishes kind of piled up, and I felt kind of bad about it. And then Kim's out there cleaning the kitchen, which is supposed to be my responsibility.
Japanese replacement parts might be of much better quality. Sometimes the manufacturing there can be very good. The price might even be more. I mean, it'll definitely be more than stuff that's made in China. I worry with some of these parts that it says something that's not even true. I think there's a lot of parts that get sold here in the United States that are made overseas, but I don't know. That's part of our job as mechanics or restorers to determine this is a good replacement part, this is not. There's a lot of trial and error and expense there that regular people don't understand. It's like it just needs a master cylinder. Just put the cheap one on there. Just put the cheap one on there. Just put it. It's like I cannot put the cheap one on there because I know it might fail. No, it'll be fine. It's like, well, if it fails, then you have to pay again, and probably more the second time. It's like very difficult. It's difficult. You guys are out there doing it, putting in the work, learning from experience.
Grease Belly Garage is here.
Welcome to the stream, Grease Belly Garage.
Hey.
Dead Dodge Garage is great. He is. He's enjoyable. Good stuff.
I saw Mexican Spec Nova Concourse on your channel. Very cool. Mexican Spec, I cut 2 fingers yesterday, so the wife has to do the dishes now. What'd you do to yourself?
Be careful.
Man.
Super glue. Super glue helps when you have to do.
It seals it right up.
It'll seal it up for temporary.
Water sort of unpeels it after a while.
But take a day off or 2.
I'm slacking with the house stuff as well as barrows. Right now, there's a set of Sprint headers for big block Ford in the living room. Thank God the wife won't be home until Sunday. Yeah, it's like the living room here turned into a studio.
This turned into a studio.
It was a living room, then it became a storage area, then it became a studio. So it's actually pretty good having
this. We do not have a living room at all. It is the studio. And then, which, makes it sound very, very fancy. It's pretty haphazard, but it's working.
Oh, it's haphazard, but it's all the right stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work to set it up. And if I had to take it, I would have to take it down and spend a lot of time to make it nice. And I don't have the energy. I'm focusing on the car builds.
Oh, great. Mexican Spec, did it look like a Buick Skylark? It could have been. Let's see here. People saying hi to each other. What else did I miss? Something about Mopar still has good supply of new old stock parts and aftermarket racing mechanical fuel pumps by Carter. We just got a new old stock part, Mopar, and we did a video on it.
Oh, transmission pump part.
Dr. Go says checking out for the night. Good to hear from everyone. Take care, Dr. Go.
Yeah, we did it was a short. We showed that the
Oh yeah, it was the IBM punch card on a box.
IBM punch card from the inventory system.
And it was an ancient old card. That's how old the stock. That's how old the stock was.
Yeah, but it's good parts.
Okay, no, not that way. I had a mosquito zapper in my hand like a tennis racket, and I jumped to get a mosquito, and my hand hit a cement lip.
Careful.
Yeah, I can just see that happening.
Grease Belly Garage says my studio is infested with termites. Termites? Is it a shed?
Well, that means
oh man,
it's wood. Oh yeah.
Good night, Dr. Go, Mrs. Dr. Go. Thanks for being here. They're working. They have to be up in the morning.
There's a lot of people that have to be up in the morning. JG Mopar, where I used to live, a guy knocked the wall out of his kitchen to extend the garage into the house. Oh man, I wanted to do that to the place I lived in Arizona, except I didn't own that house. I kept saying, man, if I owned this place, I'd knock that wall out and just make the garage bigger into where the kitchen is.
An integral garage would be a really different kind of thing.
So I couldn't do that. Mexican Spec says they used the Buick front end on those and the Nova SS front end on the Malibu Rally, which is a Nova. See, in Mexico, they jumbled parts around and called them different things. Like the same body that they used in U.S. they rearranged the parts a little bit in Mexico and called it something else. And of course, he has those around. Being our wife and kids gone, yet taking care of mother-in-law across the country. Turned the entire upstairs into Pontiac parts storage.
If it gets really, really bitter cold like it did a couple weeks ago again this winter, the kitchen table is going to turn into a transmission rebuild station.
Really?
It might.
Oh yeah, and then
I'm not going over there when
we'll have transmission parts in the dishwasher.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that short I did where I pulled it was a joke. I pulled the screwdriver out of the dishwasher. I said, "Yeah, just pull the convenient screwdriver out of the dishwasher." It's like there was one comment. There was one comment where somebody thought it was funny, but yeah, like you'd keep a screwdriver in the dishwasher with your, in with all the silverware.
Grease Belly Garage says subterranean termites here in Florida are a pain in the ass. You know what? Florida's rough with because it's always warm. So like here,
warm and wet.
At least here we get a nice cold winter that kills back some of the bugs. Florida, I've heard you have to spray and treat and stay after really hard. I'm sorry you're dealing with that, man. Go ahead, you said
Yeah, I was just saying something to Kim last night up there in the shop because it cooled off. It got pretty cold and then it warmed up a little, but it's still cold. And we had the wood stove going. And I said, it's pretty nice in here in the winter because we have a nice shop to work in where it's warm enough to work. And I said, I really like summer, but I don't miss the bugs. And she agreed with me. It was nice It's nice up there working.
Brutal.
It was up there working with no mosquitoes and no bugs, and that is pretty nice.
B&R Racing says his 1916 farmhouse is warm and has tons of room to work on his 70 Trans Am RA4 engine.
That's Ram Air 4.
Okay. In the living room. Yeah. I mean, we don't go for keeping up appearances so much here. We're at camp.
Although right outside the studio, Kim will bring a pressure washer down because that's where the hose is. And then we get engines and all kinds of filthy stuff out there hosing it down in the lawn, and then parts of the lawn don't like it.
Well, one of the other things that we'll be doing in here is the spare bedroom might become a studio shop at some point.
Well, I don't know about I didn't know anything about this.
Well, I can't get to it yet. I'm still trying.
We've got a bathroom in there that needs to be finished.
Yeah, we do.
But the cars have kind of come first.
It never ends.
Yeah, they're just like all these projects.
Nobody live forever. We're just doing what we can. My dream house would be mostly workshop and garage space, probably. Yeah. I mean, I live for this, so I don't mind that there's a carburetor on the kitchen table and there's automotive paint and epoxy stuff blocking it's just like it's in the life. We are immersed in our lifestyle here. There's nothing that takes precedence over our automotive dreams and our YouTube stuff, because we're always tripping over cameras and computers and man, it's exhausting. I don't know how there's people who just do this with just their phone. I don't know how they're able to put it all together.
Well, that's further down because there's other stuff going on.
Mexican Spec put up a link to Grease Belly Garage's page. Check out his new 76 Nova. That's cool. That's super cool. Gotta love a good Nova.
Can we click on that?
I can't. Yeah,
I can't click on that.
Well, you could click on it if you had your thing up, but
where's it gonna go if you click on it?
I don't know.
Over there. Okay.
Over here, that's good. That's Mexican Spec.
Well, that's what he's doing. There's some Nova or something we want to see, isn't there? I don't know. Go to videos. I don't know. He's got so many good cars. Yeah, I'm still sick about that Mustang I wanted. Oh, well. Look at that 64 Ford wagon he's got in there. Wow.
This one?
Yeah, I love 64 Fords. But I don't want to play the video. I don't want to play the video. Yeah, I don't want to play the video.
All right, let's check out Mexican Specs on YouTube or Instagram. He has lots of stuff. It's his Nova page. Very nice. I do
72
everything on my
Tim.
phone and a GoPro.
Tim says have to call it a night. Early appointments in the morning. Take care, Tim.
Heavens Mopar says I'll be ordering a 4-speed rebuild kit and rebuilding it soon with a friend. Never did it before. Time to learn. I need to drive my 65 Dart GT this year. My first car since 15. I'll be 52 in April. Right? And he's just like circling back around. It needs a 4-speed rebuild. And he's going to do it himself. I do that too. I've been learning how to rebuild and, a solid Mopar 3-speed 904 or 727 transmission in my spare time. I've been learning how to do it. And it takes a lot of research and tinkering. And it's not always good content because I'm not an expert, and I don't always know how to make it into something that you guys want to watch. But it's what I want to do. So no matter what it becomes, it's mine. I just don't want it to blow up. I want it to work again. So
I think that Dart's going to be so good.
I'm
Nice
hoping-
fresh engine. That engine's a pretty nice engine.
I'm worried about that cam.
Yeah, I can.
I wish I had the money to just put a new cam and lifter set in it, but it was an
take
extra.
it back apart again.
It was an extra. I mean, I might have to if the lifters don't spin.
Oh, and then it makes a mess out of the engine.
If the lifters
Oh, we got to
don't
put some paint marks on those.
I know.
Push rods.
On startup, we have to check, and if the lifters don't spin, it has to come back out so I can take the cam out and replace it because it's too good of an engine to wipe a lobe and make a mess. So it has to spin them lifters.
Yeah,
man.
and can't wait. Like if they're not spinning, shut it off right then.
Yep.
You
Yep.
can't
First
wait
5 minutes.
Oh, not even 5 minutes.
The first 5 minutes are critical.
Can't even let it run that long. They're not turning.
B&R Racing said if I had a mansion, it would be the same. I would never have a mansion. I would just have a bigger shop and more property.
So I had a friend in Arizona, and he lived on one of these pieces of property that's an airport. So they got a runway, and then everybody has hangars and houses off the side of them. And he had a big hangar that was actually divided into like 8 bays for cars, and a couple of those bays were wide enough you could get his airplane in there. And up at one end, he had this tall, skinny house that was upstairs, downstairs, like a kitchen, and a little tiny room down there, and then 2 bedrooms and a bathroom upstairs. So most of his house was an airplane hangar full of cars and airplanes, and that was pretty cool. But he has since sold it. Well, he's a lot older now. He's in his 80s and can't fly anymore, so went and got a normal house.
Mariposa McNabb is back. Finished unloading groceries in Allentown, Pennsylvania. First car was a 64 Rambler. Oh, that'd be a fun car.
Look that up, because that's a really good car. It's the first of the Ramblers that was a more what I call a modern body style. It was not the old funky looking Ramblers. Yeah, there you go. You're gonna have to pull it up. Yeah, there you go. Well, it's the one right above your head.
This one?
Yeah, is it the Rambler American, or is it another Rambler? It was Rambler American. It was the first year for the like normal kind of body style. And then if it was a Rambler Classic or a Rambler Ambassador, it's like the black one that's above your head. Above my head. Did you check the lifters for crown? Yes, we did. We checked everything.
It was marginal.
But
they could be better.
They're used lifters from a used cam, all marked positions.
And put back.
So it should work, but...
And I used good assembly lube on them, and, they were working before. One of them was chipped, and I had to replace it with another used lifter. I got the best one I could get, but it had a little bit of crown still remaining on it, and it should break in with the good assembly lube.
Grease Belly Garage. I'm still
We
impressed
have to
with
watch it really
I'm
close.
still impressed with the router head milling, Kim. It ruined the block.
I needed to get rid of that block. There's a
she tried
weight
it.
at some point. If you have too many projects, at some point you have to say, this is not the best thing to work on. But I wanted to see if it might be possible to do the milling. So I tried it. And I got to tell you, if I had been more patient, if I had another person to help me and like pour coolant on the workpiece while I was grinding. But I had already dressed the block down to not, I would have had the block completely dressed down and hot tanked and everything before I started. And then there was still the possibility that the bit will fail. And if it does, it's going to ruin the piece. So even if you take your extra time, it might not come, it was a cool experiment. Um, so,
Mariposa McNabb says it was an American, which is that one that we have up there.
okay, yeah.
I'm pointing the wrong way because
Straight six with a
a mirror.
3-speed 2-door.
Okay, so it's that one, and yeah, straight six with a 3-speed 2-door. And then Olive says one of the first cars I was looking at was some bigger mid-size Rambler, maybe Ambassador 440, white coupe with black roof interior. I used to deliver papers to the owner as a kid. Okay, Ramblers back in the 60s were, the American was 220, different trim options, 220, 330, 440. Rambler Classics were 550, 660, 770s. And the Ambassadors were 880s and 990s.
Oh, I see.
So, and they did that for a while. And then they went on to other naming conventions. But, so if it was an Ambassador, it was probably an 88 or 990. They were, yeah, I remember that because my parents were going to buy a 63 Rambler. And I didn't want them to buy that car. That would have been like, we would have been the shame of the neighborhood. Because when you're a kid that's into performance cars and your parents buy a Rambler, that's like, oh. It's like 1962 or 1963. It's like, no. Telling your parents, no. Go buy an Impala with a 409 or go buy a Galaxy with a 390 in it at least, or a 406. Don't buy a Rambler. Oh, man. And they didn't buy it, but not because of me. They waited a couple of years and they ended up buying a Chevy van, which is what we needed, was a van. What was this Grease Billy Garage? It was a great idea.
They're talking about me using the router. And
Oh.
see, the reason I was using a router and not a long block, because B&R is telling me to use a long block. And I have used that with great success. Absolutely will work. Bodywork sanding block, 600 grit sandpaper, but you're not going to remove any amount of material. Really, on a slant 6, you want to remove 1/10 of an inch.
Yeah, you want 100 thousandths off that thing.
You're not going to do that with sandpaper. You need something, you need some power.
Well, we've done the sand lengthwise and then an X-Pat, crosshatch like that. We've done that. And
I did it on some Subaru heads, and it worked out real good.
You end up with a real nice flat head and everything, but you can't mill 100 thousandths off a head that way.
Nope, not unless you have.
CNN,
you're going to be sore.
Experiments are a great learning tool, and I keep telling Kim, "Hey, I got a friend in Florida. He's got a machine shop, and I think I want to go see him anyway. Throw that engine block in the back of the car and take it down there and go, hey, can you save us from this and knock 100 thousandths off this block?" And he might be able to do it, but he might not be able to. I don't know. I don't know how big his mill is. The guy's a machinist, TIG welder extraordinaire. He's a guy that designed and built his own helicopter and flew it. And not from plans, just designed it and built it and flew it. And it's a work of art. It's really something. That's a good idea too. What's this? Oh, saying, okay, I understand what's going on. It's like that episode of The Wonder Years, Buff. They went to the Ford dealer and the dad looked at the Mustang and got the kids' hopes up. They bought a green 4-door Galaxy. Yeah, I remember my father in 1970 bought a new Galaxy, and I didn't want him to do that. I wanted him to go to a Chevy deal and buy 2 Corvettes. And he'd just shake his head like I was an idiot, Why have a big 4-passenger car when you get 2 2-passenger cars, You got 2 drivers. The 440 was a Dodge. I had a 63 440 with 318 poly in it. Sold it because I couldn't get a windshield for it. Oh, yeah, that was a weird body style. That was like a 2-year body style. You know, California Highway Patrol had those Dodge. Oh no, not 440s. They had the Dodge, the one called an 880. It was a big. It was before they called them C bodies, but that's what it was. It's that size car. The 440. The 440 was also the name used by one of the trim levels of the Rambler American. 223 30 440. What you looking at? What you looking at?
We're talking about the 440.
Oh, the 440. Okay, was a B body then. Yeah, because if you look up the one I was thinking that the Highway Patrol used was the 880. Look up Dodge 880 from like 64. Rose Staten. Kim looking smart and sexy there. Smexy.
Thank
Are you
y'all.
smexy? Yeah,
You're
those
too
things.
kind.
Those things. The Dodge 880, custom 880, that's what they called it. I remember that's what California Highway Patrol had, and I was a little kid, but I remember those things. Those big tank back then.
Yeah, it was.
There weren't. There must have been a lot of them around, but you know, that's a long time ago. It was not one that made it into the wish I had. Okay, look at that. Handbodies ex-police 64 Dodge 880. Yeah, look at that. White doors. It's black paint starting to come on. Let's see, what is this? I'm pretty sure my parents arranged an uncle to sell me the Duster because I was otherwise going to buy a 2.5 Porsche 356 and just build. Yeah, they're afraid you're going to kill yourself in that thing. Grease Belly Garage. I tried to clean an evaporator core with a water pick, and it was a fail. Okay.
Ooh, evaporator. Did it like just fall apart when you sprayed it with a water pick?
Let's see.
Fail.
They kept talking about my pay whenever I was close to getting the car, but PNR Racing, I was at PRI Indiana this past Saturday looking at brand new machinist engine rebuilding equipment. Oh man.
Dreams.
Yeah, I still think
We
about
don't
all
have
this.
a place to put any
I'm
machines.
70 years old and I'm
I'd
done
love
with
to have a lathe,
I'm done
and
with
a
my
mill,
career. Done with my career, and I still think about all this kind of
a
machines
boring
and stuff.
bar, something to
Man.
dreams.
Yeah, where
but,
would we put it? Build
yeah,
another
where would we
building.
put it? And then we'd have to build engines all the time to pay for all that equipment. It's just
and
like,
then,
oh,
there's
man.
a 62 Plymouth wagon for sale here. It also needs a windshield. It is cheap though. Can you get windshields for those? That's the original B body, and that's one that had the kind of V-shaped windshield. And the original B bodies, like 62 and 63 Plymouths with that, maybe 64, had that V-shaped windshield. I don't know. I don't know if you can get those. Make it out of Lexan. I don't think you're supposed to do that. Uncle figured a gal who was going to do that was worthy. That car was alive. Buff. Jamie just did a video on that same Dodge 80.
That's
Oh,
Jamie's
that's
64.
probably.
It's one of
Oh,
Rocket Restoration's
that's one of
cars.
his.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, the fact is, it was 2.5 cars to make one. Make a one out of.
I wouldn't be defeated. Oh, you don't know how often I see two cars and I'm like, that would make a really good one really good car. It's like, but I can't take on more projects for a while till I get caught up. It didn't fall apart. It just didn't work. Did you make a video about it, Grease Belly Garage? Did I miss it? Sometimes you just have to try things. Just have to try things. Like Uncle Tony's Garage. He just bought a sonic cleaner and it didn't work for squat. Just wasn't the right tool for the job. Sometimes you just got to try and fail because that's how sometimes you get successful. Just try and then you have success. And we all learn better if we're honest about our failures. You know what I mean? Like that's good information. The failure information is sometimes better than the good information. Like, don't do this because it will fail. Why did it fail? Don't buy this kind of part because they're garbage. We're having trouble, you know? So it's good to share your successes and your failures. BNR Racing said cylinder heads can be machined with a Bridgeport milling machine. They sell a CBN cutter blade to fit that famous mill. It was at PRI. Oh,
See,
yeah. Oh, yeah. But it's a big machine. I mean, you need a forklift just to move that around. Mexican Sex said, Tony didn't use it right. His didn't heat up at all. The heat helps clean. Oh, yeah.
yeah,
And
I
clean better
I
hot.
didn't understand what was
It
going on
should
there.
have come clean, though.
Probably a defective unit.
Probably. He bought the cheapest thing he could get at Harbor Freight. That might have a
Yeah,
lot to
it
do
didn't
with
heat the
it.
water. I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah. I think it's just a little buzz box. I don't even think it was real ultrasonic.
CBN is cubic boron nitrate ceramic blades. Round shape actually gives you that mirror smooth shiny finish. Pro show on YouTube.
I see. Yeah, you got to have the right tools. Mike, I don't know if Tony read the direction for. No, that's not a Tony kind of thing, and I think he did it just as much for the. I don't know. I think he
I,
honestly wanted to try it. A lot of people were telling him, "Get an ultrasonic," so he did.
my friend out there in California that has all the old Kaisers
Yeah,
and
Packard
Packards and
stuff.
all that stuff. He told me, he goes, if you want to keep the finish on the old bolts, put them in ultrasonic cleaner, and he runs what's that green stuff we use? Oh, what's that green cleaner we use?
Green. It's just green hospital soap. I forget what it's called. Simple Green.
Simple Green. He runs Simple Green in his, and his bolts come out real clean. But I don't know what brand ultrasonic cleaner he has. But he uses that. And see, I was interested in getting the Studebaker bolts real clean, but I didn't want to buff them off because they have a coating on them. It takes a coating off, and then they're going to rust, or then you got to paint them. And painted bolts don't work well because they get scratched up. So I said, "What do you do? How'd your bolts come out like this?" And Simple Green and a ultrasonic cleaner. So I'm gonna have to talk to him and go, "Hey, how hot do you make the water? How long do you leave the items in there?"
Olive says, I think some people from Uncle Tony's community have mentioned that the Harbor Freight version just isn't up to snuff. Hey, when you buy the cheapest model of something, there's usually a reason why it's the cheapest. Sometimes Harbor Freight stuff is okay. Sometimes you can get good quality stuff that is cheap, but I mean, not everybody has $60 to just try it. So it's kind of cool that he bought one and showed it fail in his way. And I don't know, will he invest in something more expensive? He's got an old wheel. We use that wheel constantly. The downside to that is it puts dust in the air, which is unpleasant. But I mean, it really
Well,
does
and it
work.
takes, if you have old bolts that have a coating on them, you don't want to take the
Takes the
coating off. You
coating
just
off.
want to get the grime off of them.
B&R Racing says I would put the Bridgeport mill in my basement. Well, we don't have a basement, and we don't have any more floor space in the shop. In the shop right now, we have a bender and we have a shear. And they are taking up a lot of the space that we might have free for machines. And I think that
But they'll get used.
I think they're good choices. But we
Because I'm a
have to
sheet metal
pick and
guy.
choose.
I'm a sheet metal guy, and we're gonna have fun with aluminum car
Yeah.
pretty soon, I hope.
We have to make choices, and our choice is not to be in the engine build. Right now, we're doing a lot of engine building, but it is in preparation for a future where we build custom stuff. You have to have a car that can run, though, and the only way we can get cars that can run, we're getting junk, and I am finagling it so that it will run and be fun. And then he is going to do customization. I'd like to do some customization as well, but right now we just have to have vehicles that
Well, we have two big
Go
ones
together.
coming up. We have the aluminum car, and then I really want to make the Ute, and we're scrolling past.
the Ute from the Valiant has been on the plate for quite some time, and it got pushed aside for No Name Nationals this
But
year. But the
everything
Dart is going to be.
There's all the stuff that comes up. Heavens Mopar says, as far as mistakes go, don't be in a hurry when you're welding. That's a great way to learn. Okay, scroll on.
Take your time. Tony insisted he read the directions after the first try. Maybe he did.
Read the directions after he used it.
After he tried it.
Grease Billy Garage, I use that carb cleaner that comes in a gallon can in the ultrasonic. It works great.
Oh yeah, I'll
Man,
bet carb cleaner would really work good in an ultrasonic.
All the old carb cleaner, you can't even get it like it used to be, but there might be some good stuff.
What's the stuff we get in a little can that we use when I'm cleaning carburetors?
B12 Chem Tool.
Oh, that stuff's good. Try that stuff.
Yeah, the stuff I'm thinking of was, I don't remember what it was called. I'll think of it sometime, but it was thick, sticky stuff, and you put it in, you dip carburetor in there, and half an hour later you pull it out. It looks like a brand spanking new carburetor, but I don't know where that stuff is anymore. I don't think you can buy it.
Mexican Spec says for $100 it should work. Yeah, there's definitely not $100 worth of value in that tool. I do not recommend, and unless there was something wrong with it. Maybe it was a flawed part from the beginning. But yeah, Buff is a master sheet metal fabrication guy. Darn right he is. I can't wait to see him building stuff.
Because I built airplanes from scratch.
Yeah,
but
it's gonna be cool.
That's different than a car, so I'm hoping this all works out okay.
But we have to work on Fox bodies next.
We got a lot to do.
That accident really messed us up.
Yeah, the crash messed us up, and then Kim's Dart ended up being a bigger project because once you have the engine out and you can access, like we could access that rust spot down there under the floor, why not do it while we got the engine out? And then, of course, while she's doing that, she's got to undo the torsion bar and get some things out of the way. So why not just rebuild the front end? So we're finally getting back together with it. But it all added up to a lot bigger project than what we started with, which was we're going to pull the engine out, fix a leak, and put it back in. None of my old bolts still have a coating. I mean, other than rust. Well, see, my Studebaker was a Southwest car. So the bolts still had whatever coating they had on them. They aren't rusty at all. And I've got them all zipped in bags, but they're dirty, Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Vaporust, I don't know if that's the right thing because they're not rusty, and I don't want to take the coating off of them. I think just scrubbing them with something like Simple Green or maybe get a ultrasonic. Well, I think Kim has an ultrasonic cleaner. Yeah, Berryman's Chem Tool. That was one I remember. Berryman's, was that Chem Tool? Berryman's, I remember that, but there was some stuff that was so good back in the 70s. It just, no carburetor would come out of there looking old. They all looked brand new, and it was like so good. But I don't know what that stuff was. It was stink. It didn't smell anything like Chem Tool. It had a different kind of smell. I can't guarantee he was hearing what he wanted to hear, admittedly. Okay, what was that? Who was that about? Is that me? If you buy the Berryman's Chem Dip in the gallon, it's actually more potent than the 5-gallon bucket of it. The 5-gallon is mostly inert chem that keeps the good stuff from evaporating. Oh, I know what it was called. It was called McKay's Parts Dip. And that was in the 70s. So if that stuff's still around, they probably changed it. But maybe it's still around. McKay's Parts Dip. And that was wonderful stuff. The 1-gallon cans are meant to refresh the 5-gallon ones. Okay.
What are we talking about? Sorry, I had to take an emergency break. I tried to wait to pee to the whole end of the stream, but I couldn't do it.
A cleaner is good for wedding rings and jewelry, not greasy auto parts. Well, that I believe. Evaporust won't eat the phosphate coating. Yeah, but Evaporust is meant to take rust off. These bolts have no rust on them at all. They're just, they get oily, sticky. Something gets has some oil sprayed on it and dust and more oil. Over the years, it's just grody looking. Berryman Chem Dip isn't as potent as it used to be. Well, what's the stuff that was called, for those old folks in here, McKay's Parts Dip.
I got music on.
Come on, Kim.
Oh, sorry. Being too schmexy. Berryman's Ken Dip isn't as potent as it used to be. Yeah, there's probably some kind of EPA regulations against petroleum distillates and stuff like that.
Sleeper dude
Cancer
uses
causing
that,
stuff.
and it cleans his carbs really well. Tony did something wrong. Sleeper dude, man, I like to watch him, but he's got just so long videos, so much content. I don't have time. Sadly, I do watch a few of them, but not many. Rogue Goulet. Pour 15 products. Pour 15 is a stop rust product, although they might have other stuff I don't know about.
I
How
wonder.
about doing 1973 next week? Okay, 1973 it is.
Ooh, buddy called it again. Because we're close enough to the
He's
end.
probably already picked out a bunch of cars from 73. 73 is a good year for me. That's the year I went in the Air Force, and kind of a significant year for me. Rick, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Rick Nadell.
Mexican Spec says I won't be here next week. For the record, I hope you don't dock my pay too hard.
Oh, you're gonna get.
You know what? No,
nothing.
I don't think so. You are entitled to paid holidays, so you will get the same pay. Actually, we'll give you time and a half. How's that, Mexican Spec? Huh? You can't beat that. You get holiday pay, day off, time and a half. You really can't argue that.
Anyway,
that's sarcasm, folks.
Rick says
1.5 times of nothing is still nothing.
Rick says Eastwood Resto Tools. You know who Eastwood is? You know who Eastwood is? Eastwood. No, okay.
It's I don't know why you're just shouting it.
I said, you know what? Well, because it's disappearing, and I'm trying to.
I was talking to Mexican Spec, and now you confused me. So you were on to something else.
Eastwood is a place that has all kinds of automotive stuff.
Oh yeah, Eastwood Automotive.
Okay, I'm sure all the good cleaners are illegal in California. I can't find anything good out here. You know, I finally had enough of the place. I had to leave because I couldn't get anything done anymore. Yeah, Las Vegas isn't that far away. Beet juice is another old trick.
Mexican Spec, you are entitled to any item that you can choose from our web store.
Well, we don't have a web store.
Well, once again, sarcasm.
Mike N says 73 Mustang Mach 1. Oh, that's the one I call the aircraft carrier. You ever drive one of those? You can't see out the back of it, and it looks like an aircraft carrier deck out in front of you. Those things are enormous. But I guess they're okay. See, Barrow's Parts Dip was pretty good back in the day. We always used Berryman's. I remember it would turn your pee pink. What? You're drinking it? And you would sweat carb cleaner for a few days. Does anybody remember, what was the one I said? McKay's Parts Dip. Man, that was a great stuff. Remember when you could get 100% straight trichloroethane? Look up McKay's Parts Dip. It's McKays, I think. Appreciate that, Cam. It's my Christmas gift on the way to me. I know who Willwood is. Clint. Kay's Parts Dip. Oh, this doesn't look like anything this looks like stuff you eat. Oh, there you go. That's it. Except we used to get 5-gallon cans of that stuff, and you pour it in a thing, and you had a screen, and you dip the carburetor down in their screen, and about a half an hour later you pulled it out, you washed it off with water, and that carburetor looked brand spanking new. There was no dirtiness to it at all. I want that stuff again.
Mexican Spec. The reason I was like stunned by Eastwood is my brain was in a conversation with you, honestly, I had completely tuned him out because I can't sometimes
I could tell you.
channelize.
Tune me
So,
out.
like, I come out of my zone, right? And he's yelling, Eastwood, Eastwood. And I'm like, Eastwood, what? I don't know what you're saying.
Well,
I
I
did
thought
not
you were
hear.
paying
I
attention.
didn't hear the beginning of the sentence. I didn't know what was going on. John Wilburn is here. Welcome to the stream, Mr. Wilburn. Mr. Wilburn is our host for No Name Nationals, the annual event in Sykeston, Missouri, and you should be subscribed to his channel and checking him out on Friday nights because we're all there when we can be, and he's telling us all about the happenings and going ons in our community. If you want to be part of our community, John Wilburn's channel, his live stream on Fridays is a great place to get more information and what's it called when you communicate, communitize. Just try and be there. Yeah. Most of the people here already know John Wilburn and his channel. Thanks for stopping in, John.
Yeah, who are we?
He sent a Christmas card to Mexican Spec and he's curious when he'll actually get it. Does a Christmas card have to go through customs? Because it'll take a while if it does.
I don't know. It's
I know deliveries take forever.
mail between U.S. and Mexico is kind of like gummed up a little bit, but it always works.
Gum out and old toothbrushes. I have a huge box of little brushes and toothbrushes and wire brushes and gun brushes, all the different little round and square brushes for cleaning, the little files that you use for torch tips and stuff like that. You need it all if you're going to be working on all these old stuff. The new fuels, they gum up carburetors, small equipment, super fast. It's a lot of work to maintain machines. It takes wizardry, and part of wizardry is having the right wand, right? And sometimes the wand is a toothbrush. BNR says, I remember getting VIT 19. It actually started in Chicago, Illinois. Our government let Chinese.
I tried to read that. It's like some words are left out or something.
Oh, that's a lot, BNR. It really turned your pee pink. Must be on his 5th kidney by now, Mike says, of Barrows's pink pee. Yikes! Yeah, I can't believe they changed the formulation. I'm just glad we've all survived through the things that we have done. Bon voyage equates the magic wand emoji to the toothbrush emoji. Well done. I award you 2 points because that is cool. He was paying attention and he converted what we were saying into emojis, and that's fun. Who else does that? Dean Stevenson does stuff like that a lot. The emoji speak. It's fun. It feels like writing the Declaration of Independence on a card just to address it to Mexicans back. Lots of numbers there, huh?
Yeah, there's no database. Yeah, that's something. You used to write addresses on envelopes, and it just, only some local mailman would know where that is. And now you type it in and it's like online. It finishes the address before you even have it typed in. Because you start typing a street address in on like Google Maps, it already shows up what town it's in, you know?
Yeah, like you just put the numbers and the first letter of the street name and it will give you choices, and usually the top 2 choices is the address you're trying to type.
Yeah.
It knows everywhere here in the United States. It is well documented database, and then you click on it and you can get a picture of the house right there. It's pretty amazing stuff. The future is now.
Dean gets taxed on the emojis he uses.
Taxed, yeah. Well, that's how they are down there with the taxes.
Oh, it says toothbrush points. My dad specialized in carbs. We have about 6 buckets going at once, and my job was neutralizing them once they came out of the dip.
Oh, I see.
Did you ever use McKay's parts dip? Man, I keep asking everybody. Everybody, I'm probably the only one old enough to remember that stuff. That's wonderful stuff. That was really wonderful stuff. Yeah, from the ham. What is that stuff?
Some kind
Oh, some other kind of parts dip.
of AutoZone or something. I can't remember what that word is. Here's some gunk carburetor parts cleaner. There's Chem Dip carburetor parts cleaner.
Nothing could be good as that.
Tractor
McKay's.
Supply. Ultrasonic cleaning. Oh, look, there's like a 5-gallon pail of that stuff. Berry Mountains parts dip.
McKay's was it was a little thicker, and it didn't smell anything like a normal, like strong solvent. It had its own thing. It is amazing stuff.
We're done. Back in the day.
John Wilburn says, I finally put all my addresses in labels. Took all weekend. I'm going to do a mid-season no-name national mailing this year, too.
Oh, cool.
You mean snail mail?
That's really cool.
Mexican spec.
I used to do the Slant 6 Racing News, and we did that like 4 times a year or something like that. It was like quarterly, and that was kind of cool. But it was just black and white, like photocopies, but it was kind of neat. Everybody would get it, and then we'd have points, and, people would write tech articles, and I don't know. It was something fun to do as a community. People don't do that so much anymore, newsletters. Because we have the internet and it's instant.
Bruce Colton. Good evening. Does anyone have emoji translator so I can understand Dean Stevenson?
Every once in a while, I got to grab the emoji and then copy and paste it onto a screen of his own so it's bigger so I can see what it is. I don't know what they're doing.
Mrs. One-Eyed Cat's here. Good evening.
He can be harder to understand without some emoji, without him some nights, but that was clearly Magic Toothbrush. Thank you, Olive. Yeah, good job. Yeah, sometimes he's off on some tangent. He knows what he's saying. And it's fun sometimes to just, if you don't get bothered by it, I don't get bothered by it. I just know that I may or may not be able to figure it out. It's a little riddle to try and see where his mind has taken the subject to some tangent. We use an old 5-gallon bucket of McKay's for floor dry over at the carb bench. So they have the bucket.
Well, you know what, Barrows, ask some of the old dudes around there, hey, what came in that bucket? Was that stuff any good? And see what they say. Hopefully some of them are old enough to remember.
John Wilburn says, yes, I used to hand address everything because it's classy that way. It is. That's classy. But when I got to near 200, oh, that sounds like a cramp. I can feel the cramp trying to address 200 labels. I had to concede. At least I do the labels in Corel. You're using Corel. I haven't used Corel.
I used to use Corel photo paint
for a decade.
Corel went away.
So they look cool. Yeah, they would look better. Corel probably has some nice fonts. How much more was the postage to send it here from over there? Oh, I'm curious. Corel, haven't heard that name in forever. Right, Mike? When's the last time you used some Corel software?
I did.
But everyone has used it. It was a household name at one point. What did they do wrong? They really messed up. They had a market, and they've destroyed it.
Sold out.
Oh, man.
They sold to the competition.
Oh, well.
Because I went to get my next Corel update, and it was
if you can't beat them, join them, I guess.
What's the one everybody uses?
I don't know anymore.
Well, no, there was the one everybody says, oh, Photoshop. I think Photoshop sucked them up and they
oh my goodness,
went away.
That's an expensive piece of software.
Oh, so was Corel. So Corel Photo Paint was excellent, and I did the instructions for the T51 Mustang using all the pictures, and I used Corel Photo Paint. But it was right about then that I got a new one, and then later in the year it was time to get the next new one, and gone. It's like, oh no, because I knew that program so well, and then there's a new learning curve.
Olive says there's no bigger jinx to having to move than getting a bunch of return address labels printed. Yeah, that does seem like the kind of thing that you would. I, or getting checks made. Does anybody still use checks? Every time I have checks made, I have to move
The
or
last
change banks.
the
Man,
last
I got
check
checks from.
last check I wrote was I owed income tax in Maryland, and they didn't have an electronic way to do it yet. But
Yeah,
now they do. So I think that's the last check I wrote. The current checking account I have, I never got checks. They said, "You want checks? What do you want on the checks?" I go, "What do I need checks for? Do everything online anyway." So that was the end of the. I never got checks for that account.
Scott from Heaven's Mopars is telling us that fertilized, is that the right word? Fertilized molasses with water works great as a rust remover as long as you have time for it to do its thing. It's not acidic, so you don't have to worry about it disappearing. It won't melt. Aluminum parts, molasses. That's interesting. I wonder what chemical action is occurring there. Huh,
GG Mopar says I use Corel Video and Photo, and
cool.
we still use it.
So,
Yeah, the last thing I used Corel Photo Paint on was XP, because I know where I was, and it was Windows XP, and I was when I left there, Windows XP was still in use, and what was the one after XP? Didn't last very long. Some new one came out, and then Windows 7 came out. But I was already in Arizona by then, so I know the last time I used Corel Photo Paint was on XP. So it's been a while. This is the early 2000s.
Barrow's Garage says I used to draw up characters for everyone to ask me for a sticker. RC Industries end up using the one I sent him for his logo, but it was too much after things got going. Yeah, you can't always do free stuff for people. It's fun for a while, and sometimes it becomes too much work. But thank you for doing that for a while. You did what you could. You know what? I just noticed we were in the garage, and on the Dart, the RC Industries sticker that I have from last No Name National is already peeling.
All
So
the
I got to talk to
stickers,
him.
all our stickers are good except RC
It's an
Industries just
not an outdoor stickers.
just
I got to
peeling
talk
off.
to him. Whoever's printing him stickers is either overcharging him
They're
or
not weatherproof.
yeah, they're not the right ones for an outdoor sticker. Uh, and I
All those
didn't.
stickers on your van that are over a year old, those
Yeah,
are all good.
they're all good.
And
So
yep,
he needs to shake his finger at whoever's making him those stickers. But I mean, I'm not mad at Rick. It's like he gave me a sticker. It's not like I bought it. So
yeah, he just needs to know about it if he doesn't already know
yeah,
about
he
it.
probably knows already because he's got his own stickers.
John Wilburn says I use Corel Draw. Corel Draw is awesome. I use Filmora for video editing. What is it we use for video? We use the pay version of something Microsoft.
Yeah, we use the Microsoft Video Editor, the one that you pay for. It's not very expensive. It's like $10. And we use it on multiple computers, and we've been using it for several years. We've outgrown it, but I just continue to use it because it doesn't crash my computer.
I know how to use it.
Even when I'm using really big files. That was the problem that I was having with anything that wasn't the most premium software. Is when you got big files in it, it came to a grinding halt, it would crash. This, I've figured out how to get around most of my problems, and it does some of the things I need for the most. I mean, I don't know. I think I make decent videos with the footage that we get. We don't do a lot of fancy stuff with it, but it turns out okay. I don't know. I don't know that I'm in any room to brag, but I'm doing my best.
John Wilbur, Schultz Signs. Sign does great vinyl work, 12-year outdoor stuff. Then Barrow says the stickers I got from Sticker Mule even survived the dishwasher. Oh, you know, when I wash these stickers in the dishwasher, they start to come apart. Yeah, I can't believe you put stickers through the dishwasher. I stuck one of my coffee cups to test it. Good stuff. Good. I like that.
B&R Racing says that the molasses I think he's talking about is an iron ionic process. Works the same way as a vapo rust remover. Oh, I see. Okay, so it's something with the iron ions. chemicals. Interesting. So some people have some suggestions about stickers. So those are places to check in on. I started using CapCut, free so far for editing videos. CapCut.
I don't know what that is.
Mexican spec. Yeah, but doesn't it leave like a
Some of those free ones leave a like a
leave a
watermark,
watermark,
and
which
some
isn't
of them,
so bad.
some of them, the free one just doesn't have all the features
But
that
I
the
mean,
paid one does.
if you like it and it's reasonable price to have the thing removed and then you get to use it, no big deal. But I don't want to be stuck in like a $50 or $70 monthly subscription to use video editing software. We don't make any money off of the videos, so I'm not getting hooked into something like that. I have so much money and time tied up into our content creation. I just can't sign up for a monthly, you know, I don't need another car payment. I made a tub out of plastic, then submerged dash frames. Works great, but work fast. Flash rust moves. Oh, as soon as it dries, it tries to rust again. Well, that makes sense. Okay,
No,
interesting.
I have Mexican says, have you not been watching my videos? I have. I haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen any watermarks on your videos. I'm just saying that the free ones sometimes have watermarks, sometimes they just don't have all the features. But I'm not saying don't use them. They might be just fine for what you're
Yeah, if you
doing.
have a trial and you're having good luck with it, then pay and have the watermarks removed and do it.
Well, if they have them, yeah.
Most of them do. They have a trial version that's free, and you should absolutely test the software and see if it does what you
Well,
want.
he's using it and doesn't have any.
That's excellent. A lot of people who are new content creators need a really cost efficient solution to make basic stuff. Because buying into one of those ginormous, complex, expensive software packages to just make a couple of YouTube videos on a startup channel is not necessarily the best way to go. So, yeah, share your experience. We like it. Have you not been watching my videos? I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Mexican Spec.
yeah.
I don't watch your videos every day like I should. I'm a bad person.
Let's see. Barrel says electrolysis works the best, but be careful with it. The hydrogen gas it releases is kind of spooky in its long process. I got a big battery in my bedroom where I've got some radios. I charge that thing once in a while, and I'm nervous about it. I make sure doors are open and some kind of fan is on, and it's hydrogen gas.
Iodine eats rusts.
I didn't know that.
That's interesting. Maybe I'll ask about that if I have to move somewhere with fewer analog things to do. With CapCut, there is free and pro. The free limits the options you can use, but I am fine with the free options. Okay, yeah, some of them limit the final resolution that you can, and the Microsoft version doesn't do that. I can set stuff to 4K, and it comes out pretty good. So, but CapCut, it looks like you're doing good stuff. I'm sorry. I don't. I'm not. I
But
hate. I embarrassed to say that I haven't watched very many of Mexican Specs recent
well,
videos.
his come up for me, and I look at them. Most of them are pretty short, and I'm interested in the cars he has. So, but usually when I want to see Mexican spec stuff, I just go straight to his.
Mexican Spec,
I go to his Instagram.
I commit that between now and when we see you again, because you won't be here next week. Will you be here at all New Year's? Will you stop in on New Year's Eve?
Yeah, we're gonna do
Either
it.
way,
We're gonna do a Christmas Eve
between
and New
now
Year's.
and the next time I see you, I will have some input about what I see with the results you're getting with CapCut.
Okay,
I'll let you know how I feel
so
about it. Yeah,
just kind of recap here.
1973.
1973 coming up next week, which will be Christmas Eve show. So we'll do we'll do something for Christmas Eve. We'll mess around a little bit with pictures with
Maybe I'll put
1973,
up the Christmas tree.
and we'll put up people's
I'll get
cars
some
pictures.
snowfall.
And I lost my train of thought.
Christmas.
What's heaven's supposed to just watch out for iocane? That stuff will kill you.
I don't know what iocane is.
I don't know.
I don't know
Okay.
what a die.
So what I was saying was 1973 next week, Christmas Eve, we are doing a show. We're coming up on, I don't know, we're 3 hours and 40 minutes. I still have a little bit of sore throat.
Oh yeah.
I know we've been on here for quite a while, and I'm about
I
ready to
had never
wrap it up.
intended to go so late. You guys kept us really engaged. Thank you so much.
I'm about ready to wrap it up here. So what else was next week? I don't know. Oh yeah, and then the week after will be New Year's Eve show, and I might try to go a little longer on New Year's because, midnight will come up. That might be fun. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I don't think it'll be a 24-hour marathon, but it might be longer than 3 hours. So Kim, do you have anything to wrap it up here?
Congratulations of all for finishing up the firewood shelter. You should send us a picture of that. I would like to see it. That'll be cool.
Yeah, we have pictures here. You can just send pictures of
It doesn't
yourself.
have to always be
yourself or some project you're working on.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got videos up of us pushing leaves around in the yard. It's just what we're doing. So, yeah.
Building the fireworks shed and blending it in a house is something to be proud of. It's hard work. And even if you can't share it with us, who can you share it with? Send us a picture.
And Bluegrit just got here. And we're already, we're sorry. We're like,
they're saying about iodine working really good. And they said get it at the farm store because it's really... If you want the good iodine to go to a farm and ranch store, the iodine they use in dairies is the best and a whole lot cheaper. This is new information. You guys need to mention this to us again earlier in the stream when there's more people here, so that we can get this information out. Check out John Wilburn on Friday night. Check out Dallas Brown and
tomorrow night.
Professor P.
Tomorrow night at 7, yeah.
At 7 with the AHRA channel. They're awesome. And thank you to our moderators for being here and being so engaged with the chat and helping us out. It's been fun. Great to see new people. Hope you can come back. Thank you to everyone who has commented. I'm sorry if we missed your comment. And I hope that you can come back and think about the year 1973. What was your favorite car? If you can find some cool pictures, send them to us or have them ready to send to us between now and next week.
Oh, and one other shout out because some people in here like this stuff, CB radios and ham radios, but mostly CB radios. If you're into that stuff, 390 Wagon Master on Thursday nights. He does a live usually.
Check that out.
So check that out. I want to give him a shout out. But anyway.
All right. That's all the thank yous. We'll see you next week. Actually, we'll be in the shop because I'm finishing up the dart.
Now and then, yeah.
So there'll be a stream starting at 10 Central. Later in the week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, something like that. We'll put up a notification hours before, as early as we can. And we'd love to see you. If you don't mind a late evening, stop in, say hello, and hang out for a little bit for that as well. And we'll see you next time.
Take care. Good night.